Praise be to Jesus. Hopefully and prayerfully we are live right now. I see everything looks good on my end over here. I think we are live for the very first vote. Could this be the most epic, historic vote in the history of conclaves? Probably not. I mean, the chances of a white smoke popping out of that chimney are like, I don't know, negative 100%, probably. But nonetheless, Dr. Anthony Stein from Return to Tradition is joining us for this watch party for smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel. Dr. Stein, good afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with us.
No problem. Thanks for the invite.
Praise be to God. All right, so we can't canonically bet on the conclave. That would be bad.
Canonically, the canon law is neutral.
Oh.
I'm just of the mind that a lot of things from the establishment of the Code of Canon Law 1918 that existed as the law beforehand don't need to be spelled out as a sin. It's a sin to me, and it's an obvious sin against piety to do, place anything more than I'll do your dishes or something kind of
right
on the who's going to be the Pope. You're not gaining anything really except a little bit more leisure time.
Well, glory be to God in all things. I'm on the board for May 9th. So I'm saying Friday, we're going to know by Friday night, we're going to have a man stepped out on the loggia. Do you have any, speculation?
I'll go with that day. I mean, Friday night, Rome time. Yeah. There are people who want, I'm going to throw this out there. I love this. I love it so much. And the idea is this drags on until May 13th. And then we get a Pope.
May 13th.
And they will take it as a sign as, white smoke on Our Lady of Fatima. And out will step the Pope everybody, all right-minded Catholics want. God has ended the crisis in the church. I will give you an alternative version of this.
Okay.
It drags on until May 13th. White smoke, and out steps Cardinal Robert McElroy as.
Oh, why do you got to do that? Why? Don't do that. McElroy. I watched him. Did you watch him swear the oath?
No, I did not see that part.
Oh, I got to say, watching him swear the oath, Supich swear the oath, Tobin swear the oath,
and like Star Wars give a speech on the floor of the Senate.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So we are live just on the YouTube channel alone right now. If you're hanging out with us, praise be to God. Thanks for doing it. Make sure to smash the thumbs up. Let us know what your thoughts are. Hi from Kansas, Eugenia. Good afternoon. I want to say good morning, but mea culpa, mea culpa. I'm a morning guy like Dr. Stein is, so we don't even know what time of day it is right now. It's well past our bedtime, probably. Philemon from India. Well, good afternoon to you. Flying Tigers is hanging out in the chat box. You're with us in spirit. You could have been with us online, too. We're going to have Flying Tigers. We're going to have Rob Morrow Jr. on the show tomorrow, the radio show tomorrow morning. So we'll get his reaction to the votes by then. John B., good morning. May 9th, installed by May 13th, Fatima. Wait, hold on.
No, he's installed as soon as he wins.
He is the Pope immediately upon election. But the question is, can they get the tiara back to the Vatican in time? That's the only real question.
Look, the best Pope that we could get out of the modern lot is a hermeneutic of continuity, Ratzinger.
You have no
put the papal
faith.
tiara on. It's not going to happen.
You
this
have
side
no
of mushroom
faith.
It just isn't.
Come now.
And it goes back, the reason they surrendered the tiara goes back to the difference between the Feast of Christ the King on the old calendar and the Feast of Christ Sovereign Overlord of the Universe, or whatever it's called on the new calendar. Those are fundamentally theologically different feast days because the role of Christ as King is different before and after the council. Don't believe me? Read Dr. Kwasniewski's excellent article on it.
I was hanging out with him this past weekend. He's a great guy, and he chants beautifully.
I'm sure he's like that. He's like that super nice uncle who knows lots of information that most people, that goes right over people's head.
Yes,
you absolutely want him being your tutor for like homeschool or college or whatever.
Yeah. I was at a retreat like conference, private conference, and that he was giving a presentation at, and it was on what has happened to the liturgy since Vatican II. It was an excellent presentation. I put the PDF of that in my Telegram group for our insiders, by the way.
Do you have somebody listening to the any of the live talk over at the Vatican News English, just in case they do drop a name? Because I sent you one of the links to the list of how long these conclaves have taken, and no time in the last 120 years has it been done on day one. But it would be funny if it was done today.
So let's talk about that then, because Here's what I have in this little infographic that gives us the breakdown.
Mine goes longer than this.
You want to bring yours up?
Yeah, it's in your it's in the Zoom chat.
It's in the Zoom chat.
It's a second link in the Zoom chat.
Hold on one second. Let me get that up then.
Because when they're saying your chart there says 1 day, they're not counting that first vote.
Well, what's interesting is they've changed the rules, right? I mean, like look at this one, Pius XII, 1 day, 3 votes. Where today there's only going to be 1 vote. There's just 1 vote today, and that's it. Whereas obviously in Pius XII's day, they could vote multiple times.
The only way I could see them changing that, I'm sure the Cardinals could today, if they got within 1 or 2 or 5 votes or something, and they thought that they could sway the other people just to get this done today, that they would have a second vote. That's the only way I could see them doing it, because ultimately the conclave's rules are determined by the cardinals at the conclave. This is why they allowed those other cardinals to vote who go over the 120 number, and no, there being too many voters, too many, according to the Code of Canon Law, doesn't invalidate the election. Jesus's church is more invincible than a loophole in the Code of Canon Law.
Yeah, yeah. 1878, 3 ballots, 3 days, Leo the 13th. Wow. 7 ballots for Habsburg veto, 5 days, or St. Pius X. 10 ballots, 4 days for Benedict XV. 14 ballots, 5 days for Pius XI. 3 ballots, 2 days for Pius XII. 4 days for John the 23rd. 3 days for St. Paul. St. Paul. That's the other thing we got to change in this next pontificate.
I have a way of undoing all that, but nobody likes it.
What is your way?
The way of undoing it? You declare that you have a pope infallibly declare on pain of excommunication, let him be anathema who denies this, that Jorge Mario Bergoglio was a known public heretic before he ascended the throne of Peter. And all of his acts thus are null and void.
Would that take an ecumenical council, a synod? I mean, what would be the mechanism?
It would take autocratic power exercised by the Roman pontiff.
Well, we need a guy who has the willingness to do that.
There's your problem. Because all I'm saying is you're not going to find that guy is not one of the people they're talking about, I don't think. But that would help, because if every single act he did was invalid, every single one of them, all of that would include every canonization, even the canonizations of the popes you like would be null and void. Yeah. And then you could put all of them away until they've all been gone 50 years minimum, which means we could all have a conversation about John the 23rd and Pope Paul VI and do a real honest assertion, an examination that doesn't rub people as being impious, to say, hey guys, there's kind of some problems here with canonizing some of these guys. Like nobody doubts that Padre Pio was a saint, but he wasn't canonized by him anyway. I don't think. Padre Pio was John Paul II.
Yeah, it was JP2. Yeah, Padre Pio was both beatified and canonized under JP2. It's when I was coming into the church. Good morning or good afternoon, whatever the time of the day it is. We just don't know. We're morning people. John B, Laura, hello, Liz. I can't even see that. I'm blind. I'm old. I don't recommend it. The volume is too low, you're saying. The volume is too low. Let me know if anybody else has too low of a volume issue. We'll try to pump that up a little bit. I don't know. Test. Hopefully we get that worked out.
No, mine is fine. If I try to listen to you, it's fine.
I do have the volume low on the live video feed coming out of the Vatican right now because it's just background noise. That's the other thing too I wanted to point out was if you look at some of the aerial footage, they don't show it all that often, but when you look at some of the aerial footage, you'll see that the square is not really all that full. The low angle stuff makes it look full, but when they go aerial, it's really not that full. That's because what? It's day one, vote one.
Right.
Why stand there for 4 hours when you don't have to?
Right. So the way I describe what's likely happening today is that the cardinals are placing what you can call their principal votes. This is where they, say, I, in principle, cannot cast my first vote for Parolin or Tagle or whoever it is. And so they go vote for their friend, the person they think who should be Pope, but who has no chance. We won't know because they're all sworn to secrecy. But that's typically, as I understand it, what happens on that first day. Now, however, could be we'll get a day zero canonization, day zero conclave wrapping up. I hope not. Honestly, I'd want them to go through the process properly, because a day zero one means the choice was either obvious or that they politic their way ahead of time. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out here. I don't know, hopefully soon. I just tried to bump up the volume. Hopefully that is better. Let me know. I just put you on speaker Bluetooth and can hear better. Virginia, good afternoon. April, good afternoon. Female KC Royals fan from Nebraska. Good afternoon. John B. Rich A. Blues, good afternoon.
So apparently my volume is low. I don't know. Let me see. Let's see if I can.
I pumped you up a little bit too.
Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit. Hopefully we'll get through it. Joe is too loud, and you. All right, I'm pumping me down and you up a little bit.
How about that? Is that better?
Test 1, 2. Hopefully we're more equal at this point. Let me ask everybody, did you watch the swearing in, and what were your thoughts there looking at some of these cardinals' faces? Did you get the sense that they took this very seriously? Even the ones like a Supich or a Tobin or a McElroy or a Farrell, all of those guys, Dolan even, did you get the sense that there was like a gravity to the situation? I want to pray that they feel the gravity of it. Some people were saying when we were watching it live that Pizzaballa looked nervous. Did anybody else think that Pizzaballa looked nervous? Let me know what your thoughts were. I didn't particularly think that he looked nervous. I thought it was cool to see Sarah and Burke standing next to each other. That was pretty cool. Pizzaballa not all that far away. That was neat.
They should all look nervous. They should all have the feeling of the gravity of the situation. That I wouldn't read too much into it, thinking that means that, you know, Pizzaballa is going to be Pope or whatever. Nobody knows who's going to be Pope. Okay, except Jesus Christ, and no one else really.
Well, the Holy Ghost chooses it anyway, right? Dr.
Oh yeah,
Stein?
that's totally right.
Yeah.
Free will goes out the window. Yeah. I love that people still cling to that, even though Benedict XVI tried to correct that, and literally nobody paid attention because people would rather be comforted by the idea that yeah, this Pope sounds like he's awful, but God chose him, so whatever.
Could you imagine? I mean, like, that means they have no free will of their own.
That means the pornocracy was the divine, permissive, not just permissive, but active will of God.
Yeah.
Think about that for a moment.
All religions, Dr. Stein, all religions, they're just basically equal.
No, yeah.
You know, okay, so a lot of people are starting to think that I've heard rumors this morning that Pizzaballa's star rises and falls.
That's what I heard too. I reported on that. Eugenia asked in the chat, what did I think of the what do we think of the lightning strike? I did a whole live stream on it this morning.
I also discussed it, yeah.
Yeah, it's we have a little bit of stuff about that if you want to talk about that while we wait for the smoke, because it's not the first one of these lightning strikes we've had in the last 12 years or so.
No, it's not. So let me do this. Let me put some stuff on the screen here. Can you see that? The lightning strike here. Let me see if I can zoom out of that a little bit, and then the way this works is not great.
Yeah, Zoom has its limitations.
And it doesn't let me go up or down. Here, I'll do it a different way. Give me 1 second. Let me just do this real quick. So I'm just going to show everybody what we're seeing here. This is the lightning strike on the day that Benedict XVI resigned. And then this is the lightning strikes, or the thunderstorm with lightning booming over St. Peter's on the last day of mourning for the soul of Francis. I mean, could you imagine? Some of these were pretty hefty boomers. That was the light one. Some of them were like serious shake the walls kind of a thing. And you could imagine how that might have affected the psyche of some of these cardinals trying to sleep through that. Ooh, that was a big one right there. That's a big one. That's a good one. And then, where is the one you just sent me? What did
it's in the live chat.
I put it over here.
It's in the Zoom chat.
I put it over here.
Yeah, a lot of people gave me grief when I covered this story last year, but you know what?
So this one here, why don't you talk about this one?
Sure. December 17th, 2023, in Argentina, a statue of St. Peter was struck by lightning, blowing off his hand and the keys and the halo. Remarkably, the rest of the statue was fine, and there wasn't a whole lot of evidence anything else had happened around it, but it was a lightning strike. December 17th is also Jorge Mario Bergoglio, a.k.a. the late Pope Francis, his birthday.
Oof.
I'm sure that's all just a coincidence.
Pure coincidence. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Move along.
Yeah.
The
Just a
keys
coincidence.
and the halo.
And his teaching hand.
Ooh.
Oh, the keys are in his teaching hand.
Right, yeah.
All just gone.
Yeah, gone. So lightning strikes, they can mean something. Then maybe it's just pure coincidence, like you said. Maybe they mean nothing. Johnny boy, thanks for being on the team today. Blackfish Blues, you are amazing. Sister Anna Pauline, good afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Appreciate having you here.
See, I see people saying they're calling Parolin, but they'd love Pizzaballa. Look, if we can't have a legitimately good and holy pope, then let's just have them rip the Band-Aid off, give us Togle, because at least it'll be funny, or give us McElroy if you want an American pope. I don't know. Who would be worse than those guys? I don't
know. McElroy's pretty bad.
McElroy's super intelligent, which is what makes him so dangerous. Like, if you read his writings, you do not underestimate that man at all. He is hyper intelligent.
He's heterodox, big time.
Big time.
And he covered up demonic sexual priestly abuse, even though the priest admitted his own guilt in court. He protected that priest for as long as he could, and he's never acknowledged Rachel Master Giacomo and her claims, even though the priest had to admit guilt in court. And that priest, by the way, is now not only not a priest, he's not even Catholic. He left the faith. Became a Protestant minister, pastor of some kind.
Somebody is ripping on us in the chat. Only God knows. You all thought Pope Francis was going to be wonderful. No.
I never actually thought that. I didn't even know who he was in 2013 when he stepped out on the loggia.
Same.
I'm like, who is this?
Why do we dump on all the cardinals? Because they have a public track record. That's why. And you can deduce what they're going to be like from their public track record.
And to be fair, I don't get out of bed in the morning going, I can't wait to dump on the Pope or the Cardinals. Like, that's not a thing. Not really.
Right. Now, there are days where I just go, oh boy, this again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the reality is, the wolves in sheep's clothing, the wolves that wear the mitres, the wolves that carry the croziers, they have to be called out. The loudest voice in the room needs to be from Catholics, not from the secular world, not from Protestants or non-Christians. It needs to be Catholics sounding the alarm, turning the light on in the kitchen so the cockroaches don't think they own the place. That's the thing. So truth is truth, because truth is a person. We call it out. Breaking news. Jorge was just spotted entering a Freemason lodge in Milan. No, that was Parolin. Stop it.
Or I think that's a play on Joe Biden, right at the end of his presidency, becoming an either an honorary or full Freemason. Although I could swear the Mason said that it wasn't actually honorary at all, that it was like full on.
Well, I had the conversation with David L. Gray, who was a Mason. I also belonged to the lodge before I becoming Catholic. And we discussed that when it happened. And he said he is a Mason. It's not just a, honorary thing. He is in fact a Mason.
My wife is in the chat telling me my biggest fan, meaning my 6-month-old daughter, is watching.
I'm getting a recommendation to up the streams.
Probably the gain.
Up the streams bit rate. Let me see if I can do that real quick. 1,500. We'll try that. Tab that. Apply that. Okay. I don't know. Let's see if that improves things. Hey, if you're hanging out in here, you've never been here before, thanks for hanging out with us. We're just doing a live watch party, waiting for the smoke to pop on the first vote. We have no anticipation whatsoever of white smoke. We do anticipate black smoke, but I thought it'd be fun to hang out just for the first one for sure. Now, Dr. Stein and I share something in common. We are the type that get out of bed very early in the morning. So, yes. And he leads the way when it comes to Catholic Talking Heads live streaming in the morning, and I'm close on his heels every day. So by tomorrow morning, we will have by the time I plug in 3-something in the morning, there will have been 2 votes by then for sure, right?
That'll be, the vote that they're wrapping up right now, and then 3:15 a.m. Eastern time, which is about 2 hours before I go live. So I'll go live tomorrow and report to everybody. Probably black smoke, but if it's not black smoke, if I'm watching that Vatican News live stream tomorrow morning as I get ready and it's white smoke, I will be just mirroring the Vatican News live stream and talking over until we are told that Cardinal Togle or somebody or Erdo or somebody is Pope. God willing, it'll be Erdo, not Cardinal Tagle if I had to choose. But
Brown Zinfor. I don't know how to say that. And plus, I'm blind. That's the other problem. I'm praying we get an actual Catholic pope focused on uniting the church, not radical left secular politics. Francis sadly was not Catholic. If we get another Francis, the church is headed for schism. I would agree. That was Cardinal Muller's comments.
It's wildly optimistic sounding.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Colleen.
If the reports are true that Burke and Seurat were begrudgingly rallying around Parolin, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, it is a bad sign. Low Key says, guys, the real question is, how long will it take for Bishop Schneider to fly to Rome and put on the tiara? Well, from Kazakhstan, probably 20 hours, maybe. I don't even know how far away that is.
I would be shocked if he wasn't there, actually. Not because I think he's going to get elected, because the last time a pope was elected who was not in the College of Cardinals was in like 1360 something. But because I expect he'll be there as support for one of the cardinals or for his own archbishop, who is his archbishop. Remember, Schneider is an auxiliary bishop. He's an assistant bishop. So is his bishop a cardinal or just an archbishop?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
No.
I'm going to have to change glasses here to read well. These glasses that I'm wearing are just not suited for reading a monitor. I fake it in the morning for the radio show, but if I'm being honest, yikes. E. Crewer, Supich has as much chance of winning as the White Sox, currently among the worst MLB teams ever, have sweeping the World Series. Yeah, well, let's pray that's true.
Yeah,
I certainly don't want a Supich to walk out.
I don't either, but if we have to have a continuation of all this chaos, then let's just rip the Band-Aid off and have the masks all off. And Supich would be one of your choices for that.
But
I don't see it happening.
That's schism then.
I don't know I reject the idea that schism would come. How many cardinals have the spine to do something, to lead something like that? How many bishops?
Probably not.
I don't advocate for it.
Probably not many.
Yeah.
Blackfish Blues. Why are the columns in the loggia draped in red? They never were before Francis' election. Yeah, they were. I think they're always draped in red for an election of a pope, weren't they? I pretty much remember Francis stepping out of the loggia with red all over the place.
Yeah, I don't remember it myself, but pretty sure that it seems out of place because Francis's austerity when it came to these kinds of things. Seeing this stuff back is jarring. People commenting on, Kevin Farrell, Cardinal Kevin Farrell wearing finery again, because a cardinal wearing that at a funeral for a high-ranking prelate of the church wouldn't have caused anybody to blink until the last 12 years when all of that stuff was gone.
Yeah. Italian and Australian football fan. That's a heck of a mix there, my friend. And I'm guessing we mean soccer when you say that. As an American, I have to qualify that. But
for Italy, it sounds like it. But for Australia,
it
if you've never seen Aussie rules football, man, that stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
They don't wear those guys that wear minimal pads. It makes American football look like
it could mean something different. It could mean something different. I saw a post. Your comment was, guys, any human who gives his life for children is a very special Catholic. Yeah, sure. I don't know what the context is there. We need Cardinal Pizzaballa. Oh, that's what it is. Yes. Well, I like a Pizzaballa. In fact, something I shared with my members just the other day, I was at a private meeting over the weekend with some very influential Catholics, and we had conversations with Vatican insiders. We had some Vatican insiders. I'll give you one name. The other name I won't give you because I don't have permission to give the other name. But Milone, the former Auditor General of the Vatican who got fired and is now suing the Vatican, we talked to him personally. So we had some great conversations. He was very interesting to talk to say the least. There was another Vatican insider who had a lot of experience, specifically with Cardinal Pizzaballa. In fact, 2 decades plus of personal experience, knowing him, spending private time with him, etc. Some of the things he told me about Cardinal Pizzaballa I found incredibly interesting. Number one, that Pizzaballa apparently says the traditional Latin Mass in the Sepulchre. And I don't think that's a public thing. Like this is not like to be known publicly, but this person shared this with us, that the reason why he says the TLM in the sepulcher, not always, but sometimes, was because of the era of competition with the Eastern churches who have big smells and bells. And he said, quote, "You can't bring grandma's liturgy in there," close quote. Like,
Hey,
that's positive.
The balls. I'm going to describe the Novus Ordo as grandma's liturgy, not me.
I like that. If that's true, is it true? I have no way of fact checking it, but is it true? I hope so.
Well, you also heard his other comment recently, and because we're on YouTube, I'll be delicate, even though it's language Pope Francis himself used. Yeah, it was leaked, and I think this was leaked to take votes from take moderate votes away from him. But it was leaked, or maybe just made up out of whole cloth, but it would fit with somebody who would do what you just said. He apparently used that word that rhymes with maggot to describe men of the James Martin type.
That's right.
And said there's lots of them in the priesthood, and we got rid of one of their rings recently.
Yes. Yeah, we sure did. Could you imagine? I also asked this Vatican insider a follow-up question. I said, okay, let's say for the sake of the conversation, let's pretend as though on May 9th, when they will be announcing the Pope, by the way, May 9th, mark the date. May 9th, it is Pizzaballa who walks out on the loggia. The questions are, A, does he take the name of Baldwin? Does he take the name of Godfrey? Does he take the name of Guy? Because that would be pretty based, I would argue, as the kids say these days. And number two, will he be the kind of Pope who will begin to right the ship, and as far as like getting rid of the wolves in sheep's clothing, replacing them from power and positions of power and authority? This Vatican insider said it was his opinion. He can't say for sure, but it was his opinion that he would begin to do that he would in fact do that, which I find very interesting if that's true.
He'll drain the swamp, as it were.
Can he do that? I don't know. JP1 apparently threatened to do it, and then he lasted 33 days. So is he the guy for the job? I mean, I kind of like him. Do I like him as much as a Sarah? Do I like him as much as a Burke? Not
the only person that I 100% will do cartwheels if they walk in on the loggia would be Bishop Schneider, and because Schneider has zero chance because he's not a cardinal,
right?
And he's not even an archbishop. Because at the end of the day, Francis was not the problem. The problem was the entire, you can call it hermeneutic if you want to, of the post-conciliar era. And until you get someone who is willing to look at the sources of this stuff, the crisis in the church lasted long before Vatican II. Vatican II was their coming out party. And he's willing to go to those source documents and start correcting errors. There's only one bishop in the entire mainstream church who has said, yeah, there are problems in the documents of Vatican II, and that was Bishop Schneider.
And he went to the Vatican to speak to Francis directly face to face. After the whole,
which is courage.
After the whole Abrahamic, whatever.
Now you notice though, after that he didn't speak publicly very much. He stopped writing public letters.
I reached out to him the instant I heard that Francis had died to get him on, and he said, "I'm not taking any interviews until after the conclave." Smart man, such a smart. And he's got a book out. I've got a copy of it actually. He's got a book out too to promote, and he can't promote it until we get past the conclave for that reason. Hey, Blackfish Blue says, so there is a video with all the elections before Francis. The columns were never read. People say it's a Freemason symbol. Are you sure about that? I mean, hold on. Let me do this. Let's make this easier. So I'm seeing red here. I'm seeing red here. Is that what you mean? Like, I see red all over the place. So do you mean something else? Is there like, which columns in particular maybe I'm missing that part, but it looks to me like when he stepped out, it was in red. Oh, look. So here's another shot. I'm seeing red. I don't know. You let me know. Maybe I missed it. The cross of pardon comes from the mystic Marie Giuliani. 1870 from France. Jay Patterson. Didn't know you were doing a watch party, Joe. Good deal. I know where to tune in for now. Yeah, well, glad you're here, Jay. Praise be to God. Eugenia Doucette. The video could have been photoshopped. Which video is that? Which one are we talking about? Monica, good afternoon. Rich AC Blues, good afternoon. Momento.
He says Robert Nugent put out a video of Cardinal Ray congratulating Cardinal Parolin. Does he actually have video of that, or is it just something he heard?
Yeah. The thing we also have, I got to go and bring up my X feed just to kind of keep watch there as well. Just to kind of keep an eye on what's going down here. Couple of things that I thought were very interesting this morning was the reportage of Parolin's connection to the Freemasons, which we already knew about. Cardinal Coco Palmero as well. Remember that was not even 6 months ago when they were taking pictures with the Freemasons, like
that might have been that.
Excited about their interaction and collaboration. Like that's bizarre. I wonder what Leo the 13th would think about that, rolling over in his grave probably. And what does it mean?
Loki says they're ringing the bell to tell us the Pope has been chosen. Hold on. There's no smoke yet.
No, I'm not seeing smoke or hearing bells.
Yeah, I just turned on the volume up briefly. There were no bells. It was just somebody narrating in the NPR-esque way that they have for the Vatican English live stream.
Perhaps they're just wishful thinking. Could you imagine if it did on the first vote? It'd be the...
Oh, you don't want a first vote.
No,
first
of course
vote means
not.
Yeah. First ballot means that a certain somebody probably did get everything locked up, and then we're going to have to endure EWTN telling us that Cardinal Parolin is a moderate when he's not a moderate. He's just unlikely to stand up and call everybody rigid indie-trists who disagrees with him.
Wow. Well, it's interesting. Talk about Parolin again. If there was such a video congratulating Parolin, and I can check Robert Nugent's channel, I suppose I should do that. Robert Nugent.
I will just remind people also, there's a lot of noise out there right now, including people who allegedly had visions of Trump getting people taking shots at him back before it happened. So claiming that they had a vision of a Filipino Pope. Take that stuff with a grain of salt, please. Especially when it's like a non-Catholic having visions of who the next Pope's going to be. Please take that with a heaping tablespoon of salt.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I've got the video here. Let me just cut to my desktop so you guys can see this better. I'm going to turn this volume up a little bit so you can hear it.
Okay, here we go. Deus Volt says, someone else said it means best wishes when Nugent translated it as congratulations during the sign of peace.
All right, so let's watch it then.
I don't speak the languages that they're going to be.
That they celebrated before the conclave when Cardinal Battista Re was going to make the sign of peace. He said something very curious to Cardinal Parolin. I'm just going to play you this tiny clip.
Offerte vobis pacem.
They're just giving each other the sign of peace.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would trust, I think Kennedy Hall speaks Italian. I would have him look at the source video and trust a translation from him on this.
Low key. Good to see you, my friend. Says thanks, Joe and Jake. Jake's not hanging out with us today. It's just Dr. Stein and I. I have watched some clips of the Jude Law and Young Pope show. Very good. I can't watch that show. I only like
do not under any circumstances watch that show because
it's
there's
debased.
a whole impurity entrapment they try on the Pope in that, and there's a whole one of his close allies is super rigid, traditionally minded guy gets caught up in a gay thing, and it's graphic. If you could find a way to edit those clips out of the whole thing, then it'd probably be fine. But so I don't remember language in it. It's been a few years since I've watched it, but the clips though of the Pope speaking, especially actually the clip of him, there's a group of Franciscans come into his office and threaten him. They tell him to resign or else they will lead a schism in the church. And he said, "Oh, go do it. Go. I will go to war with you. I will crush you. I will seize your property. I will have you living the way your founder lived in a heartbeat. Go to war with me. I look forward to it." That is like one of the best clips in that show.
That's the
Because these
problem
were-
with the show is there's so many clippable moments.
Right, that it makes you want to watch the whole thing. And then
Right.
you look, put it this way. There are people who can make a case that that it's okay to watch that show, the first season. I have not heard those same people say you can watch this follow-up called The New Pope, which details a Pope Francis II who lasts like a month before he mysteriously passes away, and is followed by Pope John Paul III, and the young Pope wakes up from his coma. Spoiler, right?
Yeah.
And so he's a Pope Emeritus. But you have what's her name? The lady from Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone, recreating her iconic sequence, if you'll say, at one
No.
point with seminarians watching. Oh yeah.
No.
Marilyn Manson gets a meeting with the Pope in the show.
No.
All sorts of whack. Like, it's almost like they made the show realizing like their goal, which was to show how dangerous a traditionalist Pope would be.
Insane.
And instead they created a monster where everybody loved him. So they went out of their way to like anger that same audience with the second show.
That's insane. Marilyn Manson's possessed by the devil, man.
I think he's just possessed by what he sees in the mirror.
Well, it's interesting. When I was in Rome in 2023, I got to meet this I got this whole group really from Scotland. But there was these two ladies in particular, they were sisters, and they both worked in the music business. Like they knew the biggest names. And this one lady shared we were having lunch because we were at the Rome Life Forum conference. Cardinal Muller, Bishop Strickland. He got in trouble, Bishop Strickland. He got canceled right when he got back from that trip. Cardinal Muller said crazier things than Bishop Strickland did, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, we were having lunch one of those days, and we sat down with her, and she was telling me stories about the music business. And she told me about her interaction with Marilyn Manson. Now, this lady is a committed Catholic. And she's at this big event. Marilyn Manson's standing about 4 feet in front of her. She's sitting down. Her husband's next to her. Marilyn's standing right in front of her. But his back is to her. They're all facing towards the stage. And she realizes that's Marilyn Manson. And she begins to pray to her guardian angel and ask the blood of Jesus to cover and help him. Marilyn, she's praying silently, she says. Marilyn turns around and looks at her and then backs up with his back still to her. He's walking backwards and then does some sort of thing and starts spouting words over her head. She said after that, she got wildly sick for like months.
Wow.
She had to go see an exorcist.
So the thing I find fascinating about that is it was like last year, there was video footage of him taking part in some like public like evangelical Christian prayer thing with Kanye West and Justin Bieber.
It's Kanye West. I mean, come on.
I mean, I know, right? So, and it was the surrealist thing I'd seen from a pop star. This isn't like,
Yeah.
and it was the whole thing was like, are you just sensing where the cultural shift is going, you know, and just trying to get in on it?
Well, let's pray for his deliverance. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing to have him delivered from his bondage of at least the world, the flesh, and the devil, if nothing else, if nothing more. God help him. His music was horrible, and
he designed. I remember when I was in high school, the album of his that made him like made him a big name, and it was clear that like he had like 4 or 5 songs on there, and the title of the album were all explicitly designed to make Christians mad and protest him for free market.
Yeah,
And
like
it absolutely
Madonna and all these others that want to troll us all the time.
Yeah.
Brother Peter Pio Piccolini, blessings to my church, my Catholic brothers. What we need is a man of great holiness and sanctity. I would agree. You know, it's interesting because day before yesterday, or maybe it was just yesterday. It was just yesterday. I did my radio program on the theme of a conclave of contrast. You had Cardinal Casper basically saying, everybody wants Francis. Just ask all the people. They all want Francis. And then today I saw a post from Austin Ivory saying that like 70 to 80% of Italians and Spanish have left the faith. Let that sink in. So if they want a Francis, it's probably because they've left the faith and they are embracing the world, the flesh, and the devil. But I contrasted that with a story out of complicit clergy talking about the African bishops who were like, no, we don't want another Francis. We want a man who is like Jesus Christ. And I'm like, yay and amen. Go ahead.
Right. So here's the interesting curveball for that. You know who has the biggest following on TikTok when it comes to this stuff?
Probably one of the cardinals.
The clips of him get watched tens and hundreds of millions of times.
Not me, that's for sure. Who is it?
It's Tagle. People sharing Tagle clips. They get hundreds and
Tagle.
hundreds of millions of views.
Tagle.
I'm not saying he's going to be Pope, but don't be shocked if he is. Because the one thing I noticed, because I've watched a few of his clips in the last few days, and the one thing I noticed about him is if I knew him in real life, he'd be the kind of guy you'd want to be friends with.
I don't know. He seems squishy to me. I mean, not
Oh, yeah,
only
no,
does
he
he do
is.
karaoke night, but apparently he likes hanging out with billionaires at the casinos all the time, too. Clearly, I'm never going to be in his circles.
Yeah, he just has that that nice guy next door kind of vibe to him. Unfortunately, he opens his mouth
cringy.
and he can't answer a simple yes or no question like I showed on my live stream this morning. You know, that little clip of from Raymond Arroyo asking him about marriage and Amoris Laetitia. And he couldn't give you a straight answer.
Cringy. He's cringy.
It was sort of a yes, no, and because answer, right? Instead, he just meandered. What they accused Trump of doing, but if you watch when Trump speaks, he always gets back to the main point, even after he spends 5 minutes talking about something else, seemingly. Tagle never got back to the main point.
I see Tagle as a guy with no theological meat on the bone whatsoever.
That would make him dangerous because it would then his entire theology would be based on whoever he brought into the Roman Curia with him.
Yeah. Low Key says, I'm afraid if they were really to elect conservative pope, the stone cutters and globalists would immediately move to John Paul I hymn. Yeah, it's possible. It is possible.
Angelo says that current poly market betting, don't go betting on this stuff, please. It's sending us piety. But Parolin at 31%, Tagle at 19.5%, Zuppi at 10.4%. None of those guys you want on the throne of Curia.
31% for Parolin, you said.
Yeah, and then Pizzaballa. Now, here's the thing.
What's Pizzaballa at?
8.
8? That's it? It's a good thing Sarah's at 42%, right? Not even on the list, probably.
No, not a chance. But remember, the thing about polymarket is it was great for determining political elections, but you're involving normal people voting, and political polls, and all these other tools that can tell you, give you some data points on where things are going to go, if you know how to read them properly. We don't have any of that with a conclave. This is not the same thing as an election.
Right. Yeah.
There's an election happening, but it's not, 150 million people are not going to go cast a ballot for who the next pope is going to be.
So at any moment, we're waiting on this smoke to pop. It could pop at any moment, really, at this point, which is crazy to think about. That right now, those cardinals are sitting in the Sistine Chapel, counting out those votes. They're naming them off: Parolin and Tagle and Coco Palmero, and probably not.
Richard says Tagle clips are good for a laugh. Well, that's why I say if we're going to have a bad pope, let's just have him. At least it'll be entertaining as we cry.
Yeah. You like Tagle, but not as pope. My issue is, I wonder, because I think we should not forget, Tagle may come across as likable, but almost everybody who ever met Francis said he was likable. He felt warm and inviting when he met him. And the thing about Tagle is, remember, Tagle used to be in charge of Caritas. Caritas was embroiled in grave scandals.
There's an easy way for a workaround for him for that. You know what it is? Just talk to the College of Cardinals and say, I will bring in certain men who are known for their administrative skill to run the Vatican for me. And then he could promise the modernists that he'll keep Fernandez in the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith. There were no real scandals out of there when he was running it, other than the contents of the documents. He didn't have a lot of weird stuff coming out of there.
But do you really think that Tagle didn't know there was scandal going on under Caritas and he just wasn't managing it? I think he knew. I don't think he's a good manager, but more importantly, I just think he was a part of the process.
Oh, he absolutely was part of the process. It's just whatever you can tell the Cardinals to get their support.
Yeah.
No smoke still.
No smoke. What do you think the number one issue is that they're saying this must be the focus of this next pontificate? Is it reform? Is it the finances of the Vatican that are now in shambles because of all the shenanigans?
A lot of things can be lumped under reform. The conservative wing is pushing unity. They're pushing a moderate pope because there's only like 10 of these guys, right? So they're pushing a moderate pope. The other side is pushing continued reform. That is essentially the vision. That is the competing vision is, can you get someone who will clamp down the sort of internal combat going on in the church, or will you have somebody who will push Francis's reforms, even if they slow the speed down a little bit or undo the excesses? I found it funny that a lot of people grabbed onto what Maradiaga did. He stormed out of the Vatican. Oh, they betrayed Francis.
I paid attention to that.
Yeah, he said he did that. You know what he said? When he did that, right after it came out that Francis's friends were saying that Francis overstepped his bounds by putting lay people in charge of dicasteries and things in Rome.
Yeah,
that's probably what he was doing. Why he was angry. It was the talk of synodality taken to its logical end was too far.
The amount of money laundering that occurred under the previous pontificate is staggering. Flying Tigers, our good friend, he's going to be on my radio program tomorrow morning, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It'll be live streamed right here on the channel.
Nick Carbone thinks we're going to get white smoke at the first vote.
No way, Nick. No way that's happening.
That would be a first.
Please say no. Please, it would be
it would be a day zero vote, basically.
It would be truly historic, and Dr. Stein and I would be the only ones live streaming it because everybody else is like, it's going to be black smoke. Why bother? I don't know. I just thought it would be kind of fun to watch party the first vote of this conclave, literally, it could be one of the most amazing things to see a total surprise step out on that loggia.
Oh, and I'd love that.
It would be really amazing. Could be historic. It could be life-altering for so many Catholics right now.
Just checking to see some of the other traditional adjacent channels to see if anybody's live streaming, and so far nobody is.
Pray more. Good afternoon. Says, I was thinking the reason there is only one frame left in the basilica displaying portraits of popes is because this is the final pope before the great chastisement, the Pope of Fatima stepping over. Well, we're about to find out.
I don't know if the Vatican architects had that in mind.
I doubt it.
It could just be that that's just all the space they have for now.
Yeah.
And that the next pope is going to have them, whoever in St. Peter's for him is going to renovate it. I was in
Rome in 2023, and of course I spent time in St. Paul's outside the walls where those medallions are. They have room on other spots that they'll be adding on to. So we'll see. By the way, Rob, Flying Tigers, I had a conversation with Maloney, the ex-auditor general, and boy, the stuff that he shared about bags of cash that they found in some of these dicasteries. The police chief laundering money through the Vatican Bank. I mean, it's staggering. Everybody was getting paid. Everybody takes a cut. Just think about, it's like the whole USAID thing. It blows my mind that as a taxpayer in America, how much money we are obviously giving the federal government that they can blow so many trillions of dollars on dumb, crazy, and evil things, and we can still operate. Imagine if we cut all that out, our taxes would be almost nothing. And maybe they ought to be. Absolutely staggering how much waste and fraud there is in these institutions. Now, the church is not like any other institution, which makes it even more scandalous because it's the bride of Christ and the church belongs to Jesus, not to the ministers. The ministers are to be like Jesus and to do the Father's will. But they have free will. They can choose to do it or not to do it. Judas is in every generation, snakes in the grass, wheat and the weeds. We have to persevere until the end, and only then can we be saved. According to Catholic Arena, Cardinal Tagle is the most popular conclave candidate for Pope with young people on TikTok with videos. That's
what I was just saying.
Yikes.
I know.
Yikes.
It's at times where it feels like you're living in a different world because maybe we are. Remember, there are proved mystics and those who read them, including Fulton Sheen, who Warren, you would have two churches occupying the same space. Two churches means two religions. I know that's radical. Yeah, you're seeing the same video clip I am of, Tagle doing the liberation theology speech.
Dear God, save our souls. That's scary, isn't it?
I've got a friend on in this space, Anthony Abbott of Avoiding Babylon, who is predicting Cardinal Dolan will be Pope.
Anthony, you're fired. I hereby cancel you and Avoiding Babylon for holding heterodox opinions, because that would be a bad thing for Holy Mother Church. I'm teasing, of course. I like Anthony. Praise be to God.
Dolan wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but he'd be one of those that would lull people into thinking things were fine, other than him being kind of goofy.
A lot of sex abuse happened under Dolan's watch, is happening under Dolan's watch. The whole knack thing, I mean, he's bad. I don't like Dolan. He's a politician. And notice too, I saw a clip today earlier, like even though they had security guards try to prevent reporters from getting to the cardinals to get comments and such, like Dolan never met a reporter he didn't love. Like he loves that. Like turn the camera on, let's start talking. You saw Cardinal Sarah today trying to make his way into the building, and the reporter's trying to get questions, and he's just ignoring him. He's just moving on. I would love a Sarah to step out on that loggia. That'd be really good news.
So here we have a prediction for the conclave. This is a long prediction, meaning long conclave prediction. It comes from Brother Eccles. So, of course, as a satirist, you have taken at face value. You're familiar with the work of Brother Eccles, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay. Here's his tweet. He has a Eccles is Saved blog, and it's hilarious. He says, first vote, Parolin comes top, discredited by his Chinese deal and his financial dealings. His supporters swish at Tagle. Second vote, Tagle's crying, dancing, and invitations to a game of roulette annoy the other cardinals. ... 99th vote, Roche gets it.
99th vote. Yikes. Could you imagine?
That would be a month-long conclave.
There's no way. There's no way.
You're at four ballots a day. That'd be like 24 days after the first day.
Well, remember, they take a day off after 33 ballots.
Right, and then that's when it gets open to a simple majority.
Right. Yeah, and then they get down to the top two candidates have a runoff, which is scary.
So, by the way, did you see that yesterday they didn't destroy the fisherman's ring, Francis's fisherman's ring and stamp?
I said this
yesterday?
too. I thought the rule was
like minutes after he's confirmed dead that they do it.
I thought immediately once the guy's dead, they seal his apartments off, all of his files. They take the ring and they smash it with a hammer. Instead, this lady walks it in a week and a half after the fact, and she takes a little thing and they start scraping on it. Like, A, it's not as cool as a hammer smashing event, and B, you could have used that ring for all kinds of shenanigans post Francis's death to fake his... Okay, so that begs the question now. Let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second and conspiratorialize. Was the Cardinal bet you letter from Francis saying you can't participate? Was that real, or did Parolin fake that with the ring?
Everybody who isn't just taking this at face value is asking that question.
Oh, could you imagine? Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? We don't need any more conspiratorial theories. We got enough. That's part of the problem. And that begs the other question. How many Catholics, no matter what happens on May 9th when they announce the next pope, mark my words, are going to say, you know what? I don't trust it. I don't believe it. He's not the real pope. Blah, 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 blah. Even if it was a Sarah, even if it was a whomever, I just think they're going to find there's going to be a lot of Catholics going to find some excuse to say, I can't trust it. I don't accept the results. And we're going to be still stuck with all of the shenanigans.
I wouldn't take that clip of Cardinal Ray at face value. Another translator said that all he was saying to him was like best wishes or something to the effect of God, basically God bless. That's all he was saying. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't necessarily take the congratulations reporting, because if he's saying congratulations to him, that means he's got the votes locked up, and maybe this will get white smoke right now. Okay,
and if he said that to him when they got the votes locked up, I would say that's because they got together, just like the St. Gallen Mafia. I've got the book, The St. Gallen Mafia, over here. It's just like
Julia
that.
Maloney's book.
Yeah, which, by the way, she went dark.
She did. Well, as I understand it, I I know people who know her, and as I understand it, she just wanted to focus on being a mom for a while.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. But I've interviewed her probably 2 or 3 times. It's a good book. She did good work. She went to Harvard. She's a smart lady. And obviously being a mom is more important. Flying Tiger says he won't be the true pope unless Anne Bernhardt validates him first. Trolling. Patricia Wang. Good afternoon.
I would love to see, like, you know, a 30-day conclave where they finally trot out some random archbishop from some backwater diocese who, like, look of absolute fear in his eyes, wondering how he got himself into this mess.
Yeah.
We have
Could you imagine?
somebody with no track record.
Right.
He
Speaking
was
of
a compromise elevation of Benedict in the last month of his papacy.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the Room of Tears for 1 second. I saw this picture the Vatican released. Small, medium, large cassocks, but the boxes at the floor, those are the most interesting thing to me. I'm guessing the boxes on the table represent gloves. Perhaps, I don't actually know. Maybe they're the little Zacchetto thing that they put on their head. But the boxes on the floor, could those be the famous red slippers? Are we going to see a resurgence of making the red slippers great again?
Probably. A true Francis successor will not put those on.
I know. That's my fear. And you'll know. I guess you'll know at that point. If he steps out in his simple cassock, just like Francis de Bergoglio did back in 2013, you know, looking all dumpy, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. Tate Brown. Peter Sellers is Pope from the movie Being 3. I haven't seen that. Peter Sellers played the Pope, though? That's blowing my mind. I didn't know
I'd rather have Peter Weller from RoboCop as Pope because Alex Murphy was Catholic, so technically.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They say that in the sequel. That they
No
think
kidding.
the only reason he survived their little Frankenstein program was because he was actually a devout Catholic.
St. Dominic's Rosary. Catholic Church needs money badly. The next Pope has to be someone that can bring in money. Catholic Church needs the richest Catholics in the world, USA Catholics, to survive, which is why I asked the question earlier, because they are hemorrhaging cash massively. It's because they've had a lot of massive fraud, and now that they're being cut off from the USAID grant sources, as well as American rich Catholics not giving it as much after all these scandals. I mean, going back to like the CCHD campaign, a lot of Catholics stopped putting money into the Peter's Pence and other places when they found out that money was being spent on movies about, you know, Rainbow Coalition rock stars and about the real estate deal, which, by the way, now all of a sudden with Vigano suing the bank, the Vatican Bank, we now have a document showing that Parolin signed off on the London real estate deal that was a money laundering, to say the least. We talked to Milone this last weekend in that meeting about that very deal. But here's the most fascinating thing that when I talked to Milone, I asked him as a follow-up question, because he was naming names. He was talking about Becciu. He makes Becciu look out to be the real snake in the grass. He does not like Becciu. He liked Pell. He loved to work with Pell. He hated Becciu. Now, when I asked him, I said, well, what was your sense of Parolin? Like, you know, all I wanted to know, what was your spidey sense? Like, what does your intuition tell you? You know, when you meet people and you're like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that person that I don't really like it. I was looking for that. And he was like, he was okay. Took good care of him. Now I'm like, I don't even know what to think about that. I'm not even sure how to take that.
I had somebody in my comments for my video saying, the Catholic Church just needs to elect an Eastern Orthodox Pope.
Which one? The heretic one or the schismatic one?
Right. Well, he can't be because they have to be Catholic.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to be that guy. The Eastern Orthodox deny dogmas of the faith. Ergo, they are strictly speaking formal heretics.
Let's pray for their conversion.
Yep.
Rainbow smoke. Oh, that's good. Mono Palova.
Somebody asks how long we think it'll take. Both of us think it'll be happening by the end of the day on Friday.
Yeah. Now, if it goes to May 13th, how do you not interpret that as a sign?
You don't. You can only interpret it as a sign, and everyone assumes they see white smoke, and they're going to think, "Oh, finally, the Pope of Fatima. This is going to be great. The restoration is here." And then out walks Cardinal Hollerich.
Right. Oof.
Careful what you wish for, ladies and gentlemen.
Miss Pell. Pell's an interesting bird. I'm not 100% sure what to think about Pell. I know that when he wrote that Demos letter before he died, and it circulated amongst the cardinals, which may or may not be influencing a lot of the cardinals sitting in the room right now counting those votes up, and I pray it did, because he spoke a lot of truth in that letter. The thing I struggle with Pell about is, you know, I don't think he personally was guilty of abusing anybody. That was all hogwash. That was all trumped up stuff. But did he know that others did? I don't know. I find it hard to believe he didn't. I'm going to be honest. But a lot of people love Cardinal Pell. A lot of people that I trust say to trust Cardinal Pell, God rest his soul. And a lot of people say he died notoriously too soon. Let's just say.
Yeah. I don't always believe all the rumors about that kind of thing, but I can see it with Pell. The wading into the sewer of the Vatican finances and finding the things that he and Vigano found and Betju found. When you look at the fact that all three of them had really terrible things happen to them, I don't know. All I'm saying is if you are some kind of prelate in Rome offered the opportunity to investigate the Vatican's finances, you should probably just say, I'm too busy, or I don't trust myself with access to that kind of information.
Yeah.
Then you just, ask them to find somebody else.
Did you see that CNN tried to make it look like, because a lot of us have been using the College of Cardinals report, this website here, for a lot of our commentary because it's so well done by Edward Penton and Diane Montagna, so incredibly well produced. You can go to the Cardinals, you can go sort it by papably, and you can go to each one and you can look at what do they believe, what is their background, where they stand. I mean, it's just so good. It's such a great resource. But the CNN tried to make it look like it was nefarious when Edward Penton and Diane printed a book version of their website for the top, I think it was like 30 or 35 cardinals, and were passing them out to the cardinals so that they could become more aware of the background and the profiles of the top names. And CNN tried to basically paint them as trying to manipulate the conclave. Did you see that report?
I don't think I saw that one. I saw somebody in the live chat saying, what about the lightning strike this morning? Both Joe and I on our respective channels covered that story in depth.
Yeah.
After this is over, I would suggest you go tune into either or and check out what we had to say. I don't think it was a positive message. I think it was kind of an omen of things to come, but that's because there's a prophecy, a couple of prophecies that I always keep in the back of my mind from sources I generally trust that say that you will have a period of consecutive heretic anti-popes. So I don't know if that's where we're going to be at now. We'll all find out together.
But it's like watching a pot boil here.
I know. Give us the news.
It's like it's already 1:31 there, which is surprising that we're not seeing white smoke pop now. To be honest,
6:30 there in the evening.
Okay, so we're waiting till 7. So we have another half hour. We have another 29 minutes or so before I guess we were expecting.
I think it is. Let me check. We could type.
Hold on. I got it right here. Rome, it's 7. It is
Rome,
7:31.
It's 7:31 there. Yeah.
So they're 30 minutes past schedule. Well, I mean, it was already kind of like general anyway. It was no hard fast time.
So if they're late, I'm just going to throw this idea out there.
Mm-hmm.
If they're late, that could be because somebody's getting fitted right now.
Don't say that. Stop that. Okay, listen. You're not helping all of us. Okay, deal with this in an emotional way. My dad texted me yesterday morning. My dad sent me my dad's not Catholic, by the way. He sent me a text message. Are you emotionally and spiritually ready for the conclave to start? I had Bishop Strickland on, and I asked him that very question. I said, hey, are you emotionally and spiritually ready? And he's like, yeah, I got my bags packed. I'm going to run to China in case if the wrong guy steps out.
The real question is when Pope Tagle comes out and gives his benediction, got a microphone in his hand,
why do you do it?
Which pop song will he sing for us?
Oh, my heavens. You're killing me.
Yeah, I know.
We are the people.
It's gonna be
We
We're
are
the
the children.
It'll
We're
be We Are
gonna
the
make a
Champions.
better day.
You could
And I
definitely
forget
choose
the
worse rock
lyrics.
songs than that.
Oh man, imagine that. Wednesday nights, karaoke nights from the loggia, everybody hanging out in St. Peter's Square.
Cardinal Zen first ballot. This morning in my show, I said, look, if you want a guy who will have a guaranteed short papacy, because he's 93, who loves Jesus, is nearly universally loved, choose Cardinal Zen. He admits he's not a theologian, but he as a cardinal and as an archbishop, he can teach the faith in everyday language. Maybe that's what the church needs at this point. That and someone who will make fun of online grifters and make fun of or put an end to the China deal.
Francis Roca, your buddy, he put out a poll on his X asking what color the smoke will be. 84% say black, 16% say white. I'm surprised it's that much. Richard Corwin, you are amazing. Thanks for hanging out with us. They put what in the parking lot? Every time that bird flies by that chimney, it catches my eye and I think it's the smoke coming out. I have to look over there every time. Yeah, Jessica Boggs, stop, please. Yes, thank you for Dr. Stein, always giving us the nightmare in our heads about Tagley or
somebody was again saying
McElroy or
Parolin has
somebody.
already been congratulated. I would dispute that. Others who have looked at what he said he was saying like best wishes to him, which is a different thing.
Yeah, we looked
entirely.
at the video earlier. It looks like just a sign of peace. That's all it is. I wouldn't read too much into that. Oh man, it's interesting. They have these giant screens at St. Peter's Square there for the faithful to see. They're permanently installed though for outdoor masses. I hate them. I wish they'd take them down. For my biggest reason is because it really detracts from those wonderful statues of Peter and Paul. It's like, can they not move them any other place? I mean, if you have to have them, can they not be moved somewhere? John Paul Sandoval said on Eagle's Wings, and I will raise you up. I wish I could do it with a Filipino accent. That would be even cooler. Tagley for Pope Francis 2.0. Smithson's, I don't know how to say your name. JMJT. The only reason why some are saying Dolan is because Trump said Dolan would be good. Of course, he also said he would make a great pope, but that's besides the point. Are you guys offended at the meme that Trump posted of himself as pope? I thought it was tasteless.
I thought it was stupid, but that's about it. I wasn't offended by it.
I'm not offended. I just think it was tasteless. I mean, it's like, golly gee whiz. All these Catholics who spoke up for you, and you kind of put a finger in their eye. It's like, that's dumb. Don't be dumb. You're supposed to be the art of the deal guy. White smoke on its way, says Frankie Barrett. Don't say that, Frankie. That would be scary. It would be also unheard of. First vote, first day. That's not happened in more than 100 years. I don't even know if that's ever happened, to be honest with you.
Right. Always that first day vote, when you look at the tables for this stuff, is always like the first full day. This would be a day 0, according to that charting.
Right. Typical Trump humor. Catherine Hickey, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out. Seen worse memes. Jessica Boggs.
Father Paul Kramer on Facebook says that no Catholic is morally bound to accept a doubtful pope who qualifies according to the canonical indicia of heresy as suspect of heresy. Just thought he'd throw that out there. I know people will say, well, you can't judge it, but yeah, but you have your brain. God gave you a brain. And warns about wolves in shepherd's clothing.
God's will be done. Well, that's the question. Will God's will be done?
That was my prayer. Just whatever God's will is, that they actually do it instead of their own will.
Taylor Marshall says, expect smoke from the Sistine Chapel at any moment now. That was 4 minutes ago.
Is he in the chat, or was that somebody?
No, that was on X.
Oh, okay.
Keeping an eye on X. Just in case the live video feed is slower. Like, I don't know.
Resistance Father Paul Kramer's a Sede. No, he's not a Sede. He's SSPX Marian Core, actually, which are like guys who think the SSPX are too soft. But he's not a Sede Vacantist. I don't think he thinks Francis was a legitimate pope. That doesn't make him a Sede Vacantist. Sede Vacantism is a very specifically defined thing.
Carolyn, it wasn't Trump that posted that on Truth Social. I thought it was. I could be mistaken, though. I was pretty sure it was. Macadan 22, it is not true that any Catholic man could technically become pope, or is it not true? Yes, it is true. You have to be male and Catholic, and that's really the extent of it. Now, I don't know. Is there any specific requirement for them to not be married, not have kids? I don't know about that part. So it's really just him joking about being chosen. Well, he is not Catholic, so he wouldn't qualify under those circumstances. I've already warned my kids, if I should be chosen, then one, I'm taking the name Peter the Roman, just to troll. And number two, I told the kids I'm going to have to put their mother in a convent. But the good news is I get to choose the convent. So, because I'm going to be Supreme Vicar of Christ, so I get to make those choices. I'm going to put her in one in Greece, with a monastery that sits on top of the rock where you have to climb a rope to get to it. That's where she's going to go. I don't know that she's going to love that. But then again, she may. Like, now he can't get to me. Praise be to God. Bad Christian. Only stupid liberals get offended. Okay. Shields Up 144. It wasn't Trump, but posting it was not the right thing to do. It wasn't Trump that did it? Do we know that for sure? I'm getting conflicting reports. Richard Drake, more offended by Ted Lieu and Kathy Hochul, etc., claiming to be Catholics. Well, there you go. I would agree.
Yeah.
How come they can't be married? I don't know. End time generation. Are you asking whether or not the Pope or bishops or priests or Roman Rite priests are celibate, or just in general, can they pick a married man? I don't know if they can pick a married man, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I was just joking earlier about that. I know they can't. They have to be Catholic and male. I don't know if there's a requirement that means they also have to be celibate, not married. There very well could be, because in order to be a Roman Rite bishop, you can't be married.
So I do want to ask you this. Do you agree with my take here that the Freemasons aren't so stupid as to not know that Catholics, as a general rule, distrust them entirely, and that them coming out and endorsing somebody to be the next pope is not really an endorsement? Well, I'm not saying that as somebody who likes paralinks. I don't. I think it'd be an awful pope.
Yeah. I'll say this. They
have to know. These guys have to know.
I'll say this. I would argue that you and I are in a bubble. We pay attention to the news. We try to learn and understand our faith. I mean, think about how much research you've personally done in the Catholic faith since your conversion, right? Let alone just to become converted. That makes you so unique on planet Earth. You are like the Hell's Angels. They got that 1% tattoo on their neck. It's like, we should have that, because that's how rare of a bird you really are.
Oh, you heard it here first. Joe McLean endorsed tattoos. Get your outrage tweets ready.
I get the Catholic rad trad 1%er tattoo on your necks, just like the Hells Angels. My point being that the vast majority of Catholics, and because I discussed the whole Parolin Freemasonry thing, and then I read from the Alta Vendita from the 19th century that Leo XIII endorsed the printing of this book, and out of his own pocket, he paid to have it translated into Italian. And I read from the Alta Vendita about their designs to get a pope on their team, the Freemasons to get a pope on their team. And I'll say this, the vast majority of Catholics have no idea that this ever existed. It exists at all and don't understand it.
And if you bring it up, they think you're a wild conspiracy.
Exactly. 100%. Even though Leo XIII definitely endorses this book. And it says the Pope, whoever he may be, this is the Alta Vendita, the permanent instruction. This is the Freemason document for their plan to subvert Holy Mother Church and own the world.
Matt Stairs is predicting Tagle in 6 ballots.
Matt?
Actually, I'm not super tired right now. I mean, this is later in the day than I normally live stream, but I got up at midnight.
And you're going to be up early, too.
So this is the equivalent of being up at 5 p.m. for other people.
I'll just read this
tomorrow
part.
Says tonight or tomorrow, Jean-Marc Avelin will be announced as Pope. That would be a nightmare, by the way.
It says the Pope, whoever he may be, will never come to the secret societies. It is for the secret societies to come first to the church in the resolve to conquer the two. And I could read everything else for you. I won't bother, but you can read it for yourself. My point being, the Freemasons know that the vast majority of Catholics at this point are low information Catholics. They do not know their faith. They certainly don't know the Freemasons, nor their designs, most Catholics don't even know why the church says you can't be a Freemason, or that the church says you can't be a Freemason.
Right.
They have no clue about any of this stuff, and the Freemasons aren't dumb. They know that. Book title. Bruiser. The title of the book is called The War of the Antichrist with the Church and Christian Civilization. Tan Books puts it out. This is a reprint from the mid 1800s. Monsignor Charles Dillon is the original author, and Pope Leo XIII was so grateful for Monsignor's work that he paid out of his own pocket to have this book translated into Italian and distributed widely in Italy. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. I might have linked to it in the. You check the description of this video. I think I might have linked to it already. You might find it there.
I'm loving, by the way, the subtweeting going on right now. Massimo Fagioli is very angry at Bishop Barron. I think that a Catholic bishop of a local church should be with and in his local church at this time, not in Rome working with the media to cover the conclave. Hi, you guys are the ones who called Bishop Barron Fulton Sheen 2.0. Where else do you think he would be?
Yeah.
Oh, then he follows it up with, the Council of Trent said something interesting about the duty of bishops to reside in their diocese. Tradition. Funny how those who criticize the liberal interpretations of Vatican II are the same ones who interpret liberally Trent. Oh, don't even begin to invoke Trent, Massimo.
Barum, hello to you. We're all just like, it's like past due. What does it mean that it's past due?
Someone's getting fitted?
Stop it. We're not, we decided that that's not, can't be. No. That would be scary. First vote, first day.
It'll be Father Cantamalesa.
No, that's bad too.
That'd be really bad.
Yeah, that's bad too.
Or who's the Dominican?
Oh, you're talking about Radcliffe?
Yes.
Oh, that would be horrible. Radcliffe coming out would just be terrible.
He's a cardinal, strictly speaking.
Rich Rejo, your buddy. He's also waiting anxiously. Everybody's waiting anxiously at this point. We don't know what it means that they've gone now 45 minutes past the time that we thought they were going to go. Very interesting, isn't it? Francis Roca. He's wearing his Conclave Day socks. I think he's got something on his mind. Could it be? Could it be today's the day?
James Martin with a picture of him looking in, sitting at what looks like CNN, I think, or no, ABC. He's with the guy who hit Trump with the gotcha questions at the debate.
Yeah.
He's sitting with him in Rome, posting a picture of himself saying, waiting for white or black smoke with ABC. At least the media is not hiding it. For those who are aware of how bad James Martin is, they're not hiding it.
Speaking of James Martin, what did you think about James coming out and talking? Yeah, I consulted with the Pope all the time. What did you make of that?
James Martin said that?
Yeah, you didn't catch that?
No, but that doesn't surprise me. He was pen pals with Pope Francis.
Right. That's what he was talking about. Monica, Jeff Burrier, good afternoon. Hugs from Brazil. Praise be to Jesus. Thanks for hanging out. Young curmudgeon. I like that. That's nice. I wish I could steal that. Problem is I'm not young. BU. Good morning to you. JB Ram. Won't elect today. Today is the day the Cardinals vote for themselves or their friends. It only gets serious tomorrow. Yeah, we knew that. We knew that. I mean, I'm not expecting white smoke today. I'm expecting black smoke. I'm surprised I'm not seeing it yet. That's the one thing. James Roberts, good morning to you. What name would Trump take? He wouldn't take a different name. He's Trump.
Yeah, he'd be Pope Donald the First.
Yeah. If Pizzaballa walks out, though, I would love for Pizzaballa to take Godfrey as the name.
I'm sending you a little bit of some levity from Brother Eccles to post if you want to.
Okay. Let's pop it up. The last night pictures of papal candidates were projected onto the basilica to inspire the electors. Parolin, Togli, Zuppi, Hollerich. Which one is which is the question.
Well, Parolin is obviously the wolf.
Terrelin is the wolf. Is Zoopy this salamander lizard
I
thing?
think so, because he's slippery.
So is Togli the monkey?
I think so.
And then
Because he's
Holeric is the frog?
I guess so.
Wow. You gotta love it.
If you're on X, you should follow Brother Eccles. He's funny. And his blog is a hoot.
Will we be pope-splaining after this? That's the next question. What happens?
No, I'll be telling the truth.
Okay, but hold on. You would agree, though, that whoever, like, let's say there's a middle-of-the-road guy, moderate, somebody, pizza balla, I don't know, you can think of a name.
My definition of moderate might be different than yours.
Okay, somebody who's not heterodox, known for heterodoxy, or necessarily known for modernism, but is not as a hardcore Burke. They're not a hard, I mean, like, let's say a Muller walks out, right?
Well, we're gonna be wondering why they're not doing things to clean house.
We definitely will wonder
some
that.
questionable people to their dicasteries.
But we're
Because
going to
they
want to
would-
give them a chance, right? We're going to want to give them a fair
course.
shot to, like, do the right
Telling the-
thing.
Telling the truth means you got to be fair.
Right. The question is, at what point do we go? Because, like, we all were, not maybe you, and maybe not you, I don't know about you, but I was for sure pope-splaining for a long time until I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, forget it, I'm done.
I wasn't. By the time I got started, the Pope's planning was over.
Oh.
Mors Laetitia had already been, which I think is a great injunction point in this papacy. Any benefit of the doubt went out the window with the Pachamama.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was
All
it.
done.
And a lot of people will still say, "Oh, that was an image of Our Lady." Blah 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 blah. It was the Vatican said so.
No, that's scandalous.
Yeah, that is. It's literal idolatry. There's no quarter for that.
Pope John Paul III. Don't say that. Restore justice. John Cruz, let the Holy Spirit move. Well, they have to. The problem is they have to be willing participants to let the Holy Spirit move, right? Female Casey Royals fan from Nebraska. I'm FSSP, but I understand that if the church goes underground, we will need bishops purposely consecrated to confect the traditional sacraments. Well, that's the other thing that's very interesting about the whole Francis enigma, and that was his relationship to the SSPX. There were rumors that he was going to allow them to consecrate another bishop. He seemed to welcome them anytime they came for a visit. There was rumors that he used to treat the SSPX very well when he was in Argentina, treated them like parish priests almost in his diocese. Now,
Wait a minute, someone is saying Lepanto is making a claim about smoke, and I got to see this. The Lepanto Institute. Let's see. Maybe there's a bird's nest in the chimney pipe blocking the smoke from escaping.
It's killing us. We just want to see one way or the other. It's very fascinating that it's gone this long. We're 51 minutes over the time that they said we could expect it. You know, and I have to go back on the radio actually this afternoon, so can't let the stream go forever.
Yeah.
We'll see. Pope Pius the 13th, please. We already had one of those. We need a Pope Pius. It would be Pope Pius.
It'd be Pius the 13th.
Yeah, you're
Pius
right.
the
You're
12th.
right. You're right. It'd be Pius 13th. Pius 12th was the last one. I like Pius the 12th. In fact, when I was in Rome in 2023, if you ever go to Rome, you need to do the Scavi tour. You got to book it a month in advance at least. And you got to do it. It's just literally amazing to go down in the catacombs underneath St. Peter's Basilica, where you go on this crazy journey that lands you at the bones of St. Peter and the story of how they put the bones where they did. And I believe it was under Constantine's direction to hide the bones and the relics of St. Peter. And where you end that tour, right after you see the bones of St. Peter, and I stood 5 feet from it, right after you see the bones, you exit in this little tiny chapel because the bones are right behind the wall of this chapel. And that's right underneath the high altar on St. Peter's Basilica. But you exit right across from St. Pius XII's tomb. And I would have never been able to go there because it's closed off to everybody else. So I got an opportunity to sit and pray at the tomb of St. Pius XII when I was there. I'm going to be back there in the end of this month. Bishop Strickland and I Next week, he and I go to Greece, we go to Turkey, and then we go to Rome. And so there's a good chance we may go to an audience with whoever this new pope is. We'll see. If it's Francis II, I think we may skip. We may just skip.
And you know, if it's Pope Conclave, maybe he can give you some good advice on where to go in Macau.
For gambling, you mean?
Yeah,
for
that's
a
the rumor.
night out at the casino?
I think these health scare drops and all this stuff it's so conveniently timed that you should not take this stuff at face value. You know, with Parolin and with Togle, all this stuff, do not take that stuff at face value. There's a propaganda war going on right now, and it's definitely meant to sway the bishops, who are probably reading newspapers, even though there should be a rule that says that they surrender internet rights except for emergencies, and should not be reading newspapers or listening to any media during the conclave.
Hey,
to avoid being swayed.
TJCAV2363 says, if the Pope doesn't have to be a cardinal, what if they picked someone not at the Vatican right now? Well, the chances of it not being a cardinal in that room is slim to none. Let's just be honest. But it's possible. Technically, it's possible. And I would argue that if they took a vote, they elected a man, let's just call it Schneider for the sake of the conversation, then they would probably contact the nuncio and get in touch with Bishop Schneider right away. They would probably send the airplane from Air Italia, which supports the Pope whenever he travels. They'd probably send it to Kazakhstan to pick him up and fly him back. And we probably, I don't know, would we see smoke and then we'll have to wait, or would they wait to pop smoke until he was at the Vatican?
I think that they would. I think that they would wait.
Yeah,
I don't think
guessing.
that's the cause of the waiting. Please, as someone whose first choice would be a Schneider, please don't mistake what I'm saying for that.
But it would kill us to not know, right?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they like pop smoke and then they were like, "Hey, Helbemus, you got to give us some more time," you know? And they're like, we need more." Like, that would kill us. We'd all be freaking out by that. So, I can't imagine that they would.
Day zero white smoke is practically unprecedented.
Yeah, no way. There's no way. There's no way that we're going to see white smoke. It's going to be black. Although I don't know why it's taken an hour now. Could it be that the meditation that they received after kicking everybody out was just went longer? Father Altman for non-cardinal pope. That'd be interesting. No news is good news today. Is it? I'm not sure it is. Pope Athanasius of Astana.
Has there been a Pope Athanasius before?
I don't know.
Let me see.
Pope Julius II was elected on day 0 in 1503, says Vinicius. Vinicius? How do I say your name?
It's unprecedented in the modern period. Probably in the post-Reformation period.
James Martin. If James Martin steps out on that balcony, it is over.
Well, he's currently doing media with ABC, so.
Well, that means he's in Rome.
So take that as good news. He hasn't won, at least on this ballot.
He's still on the air, and they haven't called him back to the crying room. Oh man, that would be the worst ever. Antonia, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Maybe they're having a fight. I know. I think that's the interesting part about it. Will we ever know what really happened? Wayne Askren. Pope smoke? Pope smoke. Pop smoke. Pop smoke. Oh, yeah, the Marine. Like as in pop smoke? Yeah. Pop smoke. Fightin' Friar. Welcome to the team. You're amazing. Schneider should have been made a cardinal a long time ago. Yes, I would agree. I would agree. Ooh, Prevost. What do you think about Prevost? I couldn't believe when I started hearing people say Prevost could be an option. The dude's American. What are we even talking about?
Not only American, he had abuse. That came out in the media.
But did the Cardinals know that?
Of any issue, that'll be the thing that will torpedo the candidacy in the post-McCarrick world.
I'm looking at a report. A chance encounter with Father Martin and Austin Ivory reveals their papal candidate. Prevost.
Oh.
That's who they're rooting for.
That's pretty sure. I'm sure that they're on the same side as Supich. I'm sure they're all on the same team.
Man, I tell you what, when I was watching the Cardinals swear their oath, and I'm just like looking at their faces, just thinking, like looking at Tobin, Supich, Zupi. I'm just like, well, I wonder what's going through their mind right now.
Tim Erasco saying white smoke from Tim Gordon's channel. Well, I'm watching the Vatican News live right now, and there's no white smoke.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either.
Maybe he was making a joke about Tim Gordon or something. I don't know.
The wrong kind of smoke. That's not. This is
I
not
would
the
never
smoke
even
you're looking
imply
for.
that he imbibes of that stuff, unless it's a cigar.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Why do you suggest I meant otherwise? Of course, I meant cigar. He's from California. I'm just letting you make of that what you will.
Yeah. Father Maudsley for Pope.
Ooh,
There's a hot take.
that would be a hot take. It'd be crazy.
The first thing he would do would be to torch Nostra Aetate.
Although Father Maudsley does say that there needs to be a gentle righting of the ship, and not a like a rip the scab off kind of a situation.
We do have Kennedy Hall in the chat.
Kennedy Hall is here.
Our brother from Canada.
Mere tradition with Kennedy Hall. Praise be to God in all things. Thanks for hanging out with us today. You're a little bit too chill, Kennedy Hall, on this whole. You need to be as worked up as the rest of us, brother. Okay?
Someone's saying I should be Pope. Nope.
Pope, nope. Thank you, but nope. I don't know. Whatever happens, let it happen. But I got to tell you, it's not going to be boring.
I discerned out of the priesthood thing. I discerned out of priestly, but I discerned that I was not called to the priest's life. So why would I want to become, essentially the chief priest? It'd be definitely bad. Kennedy Hall says, I'm used to bad elections. Oh, yeah, most of my life was the same way, so I understand.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, I guess. The fight goes on no matter what happens. CC Alvarez, if my understanding of the scripture is correct, a progressive pope is coming down the pike. Well, we've had progressive popes. We've had a whole series of them. The question is, can we give it a pause for a little while? Somewhat of a respite would be nice.
Cardinal McRoy looks sick. I wonder if one of the cardinals needed medical help after taking the vow. We don't know.
By the way, one of the infographics did suggest that if there were any cardinals that couldn't make it over to the conclave, they're at the Vatican now, but they are sick and couldn't get up and fit and be moved, that they would send somebody with a locked box to their room to take their vote, which is interesting.
I do love the stories that some outlets are reporting. Cardinal fill in the blank has emerged as a top contender for the next pope.
How would
I
they
always
know
ask,
that?
based on what?
Yeah. How do they know that? Giancarlo Zuppi is the cardinal from the most progressive town in Italy, Bologna. Not surprised. Not at all surprised. Who was the truly conservative pope? You mean ever?
Pius X?
Leo the 13th? Or not Leo
Pius
the
11th? Benedict the 15th.
Leo, yeah.
Worked
That's what I'm
up
thinking
about
about.
keep getting World War I to end. So Pius XII was definitely part of the revolution in the church. Not that he was a modernist or anything, but he changed the holy.
He set the stage. He allowed precedent to take place for more changes to come. Which
And
type
that
of
last-
pope is prophesied for the chastisement?
Depends who you read.
Right.
There's more said about the popes who will help afterwards, the angelic pope, if you believe in the great monarch stuff. Danielle Tracy Ann says, why do some Catholics think it's God who chooses the pope? Because some people...
Why am I hearing cheering?
I don't know, because there's no smoke.
I'm hearing cheering.
I wasn't hearing cheering. I just pulled it up and it just...
There's an increase in cheering going on in the
Are you
same
watching Vatican News English?
Hold on 1 second.
Or did you turn it to Sports Center or something?
No. I'm looking at the Vatican News, and it looks like it's in English.
Brever Eccles again. I must say this video of a chimney doing nothing at all is one of the most interesting BBC programs I've seen for a long time.
True. Hey, Mizzy says, hey, Kennedy, I love your videos. Pat Miller, I want Cardinal Scola so we can have Pop Scola. I got where you're going with that. Father Ripperger for Pope, huh? Could you imagine? I doubt he would accept.
Cardinal Robert McElroy swears the conclave oath with a notably pronounced delivery. Almost as if his Latin is one of those he's not good at.
That was
Or
interesting
maybe he's
too.
really good.
To hear a lot of the cardinals pronounce the oath in Latin. Many of them really struggled through that. Erdo, how do you feel about Erdo?
Me?
Yeah.
Probably one of the better choices. Does he have the spine to clean house?
They're in
Does he have the spine to look at the documents themselves of Vatican II as a problem? We do not want another Benedict-type papacy. If you're looking for a full end to the crisis in the church, including the birth pains that come with that, it will take a lot of unpleasantness from a pope of courage, someone who would need to hire food tasters and hire former Marines to be his personal bodyguard.
Yeah.
That's what it'll take.
It's
Malachi
interesting,
Martin's
isn't it?
Super Force always comes to mind with this stuff.
I think we're much more likely to get a decent guy who won't do much than we are to get either a a modernist or a rock star, in my opinion. We're probably going to get middle of the road, and middle road means more of the same. And so by de facto, the other side wins.
Right. That middle of the road is not a victory. Middle of the road is actually a catastrophe, because you're going to see the German bishops and the James Martins of the world go run wild under a moderate pope. This, by a moderate, will be trying to heal the divide.
Canada Guy talks. What do we think of Sarah? I love Sarah. I think Sarah's amazing. Is he perfect? No.
He'd be a hermeneutical continuity Benedict type, and so you're not getting the radical restoration from him that some people think you would.
He could hire Mounties. There used to be a great TV show. I think was it Northern Exposure? What was the name of that show that had the Mountie? Oh, it was like back
Fred
in the 90s.
Simon. Isn't Fred in your chat sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
He just posted the Dream Team, and it's
Is it the
Wilton Gregory, Supich.
Yeah, I saw that.
With
with McCarrick in the back.
Dobin with them, or
Yeah.
Dolan with them.
Yeah,
I think that's Prevost maybe with them.
yeah. That's hilarious. Natasha Brown, there are more cardinals than before. Guess it will take longer to count their votes. It didn't take this long for them to take the oath. I mean, what are we waiting on at this point? I do not want more of the same, says Judy. I'm on your team. I don't want it either. Fightin' Friar. Has there ever been an election on the first vote? Not in the modern era, when we have the current rules. So it would be unprecedented if that's the case. I mean, like, earth-shattering if that's the case. Johnny Boy, welcome to the team. Thanks for hanging out with us. Malcolm the Mountie always gets your man. Mac Thompson, Sarah Vigano, Schneider, Strickland, Erdo, Pizzaballa. Due South. That's what it was. A Mountie in Chicago. Thank you, Forgotten Hollywood. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Forgotten Hollywood is my wife, and yeah, she definitely knows that show.
You're amazing. God love you.
Wow, your live chat is hot right now with almost 2,300 people watching.
Well, make sure to hit this thumbs up for me. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, everybody hit that like button, because right now I'm showing 7 likes. 8 with mine.
I always thought of Due South as like MacGyver, but, cooler in many ways. I always loved it when he would taste the moose dung. Yep, 5 minutes ago. Just stuff like that. I loved that show. It was great. Tim Escaro. Unity prayer being said for conclave. Still? Is that why it's going long? Is because they're still praying the unity prayer? Lord help us. Colleen, welcome back. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day is. Love having you here. Producer Jake, we should watch Chimneys more often. Producer Jake is on the team. Producer Jake. Jacob Combs, not Jacob Combs, but Justin Combs on X said, he's got a picture of this chimney right here. And he says, these gender reveals are getting ridiculous.
A priest on X says, It would be super awkward if the next pope chose the name Michael II.
Ooh. Like, you mean the one from Kansas?
Yeah. Yes, and he was originally from like Oklahoma City area, actually.
Well, hold on. Wait. Didn't the guy from Korea get the nod after that?
I think so, yeah.
What is his name?
I think he's Michael II.
So then it's not legit then. And we know that that would be
yes,
like,
but the
illicit.
one in Rome would be the one who would set the precedent. He would be able to, the same way that John the 23rd did by taking the name John the 23rd.
Right. 345XXL. Just a couple more minutes. They chose Bishop Fillet. Don't worry, he's almost there now. Oh, you wish, pal. It ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Due South is good childhood memories, so you must be of my vintage if you remember that show. Jeff Burry, our next Holy Father, Pope Dominic. You think of Dominic?
Only if it's Cardinal Fernandez, who definitely has that vibe of somebody who thinks of himself in that kind of way.
Godwin. I hope he converts the Sedevacantists. Well, that's part of my problem. It's like, if it's not a good man, we're gonna keep going down this road. And already, like, if you're in the Sedevacantist camp that says there are no valid cardinals at this point, then how do you resolve this? It's unresolvable at that point. You're waiting for Peter to come down from heaven on a cloud and like point the guy out. That guy right there. Like, and is that really going to happen? No.
Victor asked if they have skipped the vote at all, and no, they did. They wouldn't have skipped the vote.
I don't know. They're pretty ancient. They probably a lot of those guys are like, is it Jello time? Can we do pudding this afternoon? I mean, I don't know. Richard Dow
says he's not getting notified on my channel. That's a lot of that happens. You should go check to make sure that your notifications are actually on.
Yeah.
Or that you're even still subscribed. Sometimes people get unsubscribed against their will.
And just routinely when you're on, like say Return to Tradition, for instance, when you're watching one of Dr. Stein's videos, always hit the like button because that will trigger the algorithm to continue to show his videos in your home feed, not your subscriber feed, but your home feed. So it's a great way to also ensure that you get to see what comes out next. David Ramirez asking for a friend. Is your chimney video frozen? It could be. It could be. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it off of live, and then I'm gonna smash live again. Oh, still no smoke.
Yeah, I'm refreshing my screen just to be sure. Yeah, no. We got a lady talking, so.
Live from Rome at the Papal Conclave, Jack Posobiec. Of course he is. Most riveting TV tonight is a picture of a chimney.
Even Novus Ordo watched 2 minutes ago. What's going on? Still no smoke from Conclave chimney about an hour after it was first expected.
Yeah, hour 10.
Yeah.
Hour 10. Joseph Bashir. We got a Pope Lenny. He's making us wait. He needs the papal tiara first.
Yeah, well, if you've seen the clip of him finally emerging on the loggia, he refuses to face people and not let them take his picture. He blesses them with his back to everybody. It's wild. It's really wild.
My thing about that show is I've never seen a single episode. I've only ever seen little clips on like social media or whatever. So I don't actually know. I don't actually know like the plot twists or any of that stuff. I don't really truly understand like what is his thing. One of the clips I saw seemed to suggest that he didn't believe in God at all.
That's one of those, he struggles with faith things. That's kind of his character arc. And it's wild because he's a miracle worker, literally like healed a person when he was a kid through prayer and touching them. Yeah. Interesting. But, he got elected because they thought he was, because of how young he was, and that so little was known about his stuff, that what he believed in, that he was a moderate. And then he's recounting this as he's saying, and then when I revealed my name was Pius XIII, the look of fear in their eyes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so baller, though. Like, think about the writers and producers who knew enough about the conversations within Catholic circles between traditionalists and non-traditionalists, modernists and conservatives, to be able to write some of that stuff in. Like, that's pretty intuitive. Because most of those guys have no clue about what goes on in these conversations, but someone had to have known to have been a part of that. Johnny Boy, chim chimney, chim sharu. What are we doing? Toggly now? Is that what it's like? Karaoke night? Pope Anthony. Don't be Anthony from Avoiding Babylon's going to hear that. He's going to like go, what? You guys talking about me again?
Mm-hmm.
David Jimmy. How about Pope Cadfelli? Who is that?
Cadfield? Oh, was that a fictional character?
I don't know.
I think so. Maybe a TV. He was a TV priest, I think.
Excommunicate James Martin. So that's interesting. What would you do? What would be your plan? You stepped out on that loggia. What name do you take? What is your immediate plan, Dr. Stein?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I was reading this commentary thing. It's not great, but better than Conclave. I liked how they guessed Pope Francis, who opened the doors to refugees, was struck down by God. Yeah, because in the young Pope, he's supposed to be the Pope immediately after Francis.
What would be your plan if you were the Pope? What would you do? Yeah, what
I'd
would you
resign
do?
immediately.
You would resign. You can't do that. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
I would,
not allowed to resign.
I would implement a 10-year restoration of the traditional Mass by putting in the elements of the traditional Mass slowly into the Novus Ordo, beginning with ending lay altar servers utterly, ending Eucharistic ministers, restoring the altar rails.
Yeah.
And then I'd put in, and then I basically implemented the TLM according to Sacrosanctum Concilium, which is mostly Latin with like a Pater Noster in English, basically. a couple other things, but I would do that, and I'd expel the homosexuals from the priesthood.
And seminaries.
Before I did that, I would find the name of every single priest and bishop who either did the deeds themselves, the evil deeds, or hid it away, invite them all to Rome under some regular pretense, and then have them arrested and give them Vatican trials and the worst of them executed.
Yeah, 100%.
Executions in St. Peter's Square.
I think we asked for every red hat to be turned in to start over.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be a post-mortem trial of Theodore McCarrick.
Mm-hmm.
And Francis himself. I think every dicastery either needs to be shut down or at the very minimum replaced all the staff. I mean, I'm sure there's some good workers that work in some of those places, but it's gotten so bad that I just think there needs to be a complete overhaul. The question is, how do you pull all that off? And what men do you bring to the Vatican to watch your back? That's the next question.
Oh, I've got friends who I would trust to help with that, actually. I definitely know people who would help with that. But I would probably be looking to find Catholics involved in the professional security industry in the United States. And there are some involved in some of those organizations that a lot of people don't like, but they'd be the people I would have work with the Swiss Guard, because at the end of the day, it's like this. Malachi Martin was once asked by Art Bell what would he do if he was Pope, and he said he'd be like dead within a week. He'd be a terrible Pope. His reign would be so would be considered terrible because of the things he would do to try to clean the church.
Well,
That's
I'd
kind
be
of what
dead.
happened to me.
I would be a bad Pope just in general. I don't think I could be a good Pope personally. I just can't imagine.
Right.
I couldn't imagine trying to do that job.
Plus, I'm a fat
Excommunicate Jimmy Martin, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, AOC. Yeah, 100%.
I'm relatively young as these things go, but I would probably have a heart attack and die within 5 years of moving to Rome simply because I'd be living in the magical wonderland of carbohydrates. It would be bad.
It would be. What does it mean that it's an hour and 16 minutes past the time and there's still no smoke, Dr. Stein?
Oh, either they're having a hard time with what they're with their counting, or there's a technical issue, or they're fitting somebody. They're having a hard time getting Cardinal Tagle out of the crying room right now.
Maybe it's just that there's a bunch of old guys that have been priests for their whole lives now, for decades and decades, and not one of them knows how to start a fire. Like they've never actually had to start a fire, a campfire, or something like that.
Well,
and they just don't know what they're doing.
Shouldn't Cardinal Farrell, probably having gone on those beach trips with McCarrick, know how to light a bonfire?
Hey, listen, he knew nothing. He was as surprised as anybody else, okay?
I was shocked.
He was totally like, what? Are you kidding me? Wow. He actually did those things? That's crazy talk. Storm Rose, an Irish Pope would be cool. Up the alcohol proof for communion wine. Whoa, that's pretty blasphemous. And change out the communion wafer for crisps. I'm gonna say you're probably playing with fire at that point.
Says they think they just push a button to light the fire. Well, then this goes back to the morning that they announced Pope Francis's death, where the bells wouldn't ring, and they had to actually get somebody to manually bang on the bells to do it. Makes you wonder.
Why all of a sudden aren't they ready? Why aren't why is things not in line here? It is fascinating. This is really everybody thought, oh, we're gonna see smoke right away. It's gonna be no big deal. It's all gonna be black.
Do they have to vote today, says Just a Mom? Yes, I believe they do have to vote today.
Yeah.
The schedule is one vote today. And this is probably, the other reason it might take them forever is if I'm right that this is the day where they all vote for their friends and on principle don't vote for the leading candidates because they think they suck. So they vote for their friends and things. That might just be taking a long time to, write down the names of 135 different cardinals who got votes.
Well, one each, huh? Calvin Hammond says, don't get me started on Farrell. I'm in Dallas Diocese. Got issues with him personally. Yeah, not surprised. I live in Houston, so I know what you mean.
Thanks for
Dr.
that.
Obvious. The best comedy commentary of the day. Well, that means the bar is pretty low. Praise God.
Yeah.
Brother Peter Pio Piccolini. What would happen to the church if Supich came out? Well, the good news about the Supich, and I think Dr. Stein, I think you said this earlier, and that is
asked if I'm serious about the bells. Yeah, that was actually news.
the clarity that we would have under a Pope Supich. It'd be pretty darn obvious where the line is, right? I gotta charge.
Sure, if we had a Pope Supich, that'd be great because
There's no ambiguity.
Have to work very hard to tell people about how bad things were because it'd be just a mask-off moment.
Right. Elizabeth Crespo. The sky in the background look awfully light. Is that because of the street lights? Well, yeah, it's getting dark over there. I mean, it's like 8 o'clock. It's 8:19 right now in Rome.
Yeah, that is a good question. Why?
Cardinal Zen says, Benedict Domine, by the way, God love you. Thanks for being on the team. Says Cardinal Zen is just taking his time in the crying room. Give him a minute.
Oh, that would be so great.
That would be the best. Oh, could you imagine? You can hear the screams of the CCP from here. It would be just like, wow, a million voices all at once screaming out. Oh, wow. Could you imagine? Like there's no way we're going to get it that good, though, folks. That would be truly epic. Oh, man. Hold on. Checking some stuff. Nope. Everybody's waiting. I think they're all kind of getting antsy now and all wondering, like, what in the world is really going on? Everybody's asking.
What they're probably doing is looking at the count votes going, who's Peter Diamond?
Wow. That's a name I haven't thought about in a while. Peter Diamond. I wonder what he's saying right now. I can imagine. Johnny Boy. We are 100% sure we're watching. Are we 100% sure we're watching the right chimney? Okay, let's look to see if there's a separate live stream. What's EWTN doing? Let's do that. That's the safe bet right there. The St. Francis Santo Subito team.
News, CNBC. Of course, all the mainstream media ones show smoke coming out of the chimney for their thumbnails. But so CNBC is got 4 different angles. And when you see it from 4 different angles, you can see why that one has more light. But there are 4 different angles with 4 different lighting.
This is EWTN's right now. Since you are from Houston, says Chris, what's your take on DiNardo? Not as a papal candidate, but as Cardinal of Houston. Never got a sense one way or the other. I have a unique history with Cardinal DiNardo. Well, unique in some ways anyway. I spent a decade as the general manager of the Catholic radio station in Houston, Texas. And I spent some time with DiNardo one-on-one and in many other settings. And he is an enigma in many ways. By the way, Adrian says, none of the Catholics fit Cardinal Dolan. Praise be to God. Does that mean he doesn't count? That's true.
This isn't Cinderella in a glass slipper.
Yeah, it doesn't work. They would cut the back, they would duct tape it closed, and they would call it done probably. But no, Cardinal DiNardo. So Cardinal DiNardo is an interesting guy. He is a politician through and through.
EWTN was talking up Tagle. Ugh.
DiNardo is the kind of guy who wants to get everybody to like each other. So he plays ball with everyone, right? And but some interesting things. So he'll do things that'll make you mad, like for instance, give his cathedral over to Methodist to ordain women in. That is insane. Why would you do that? He did it.
Has there ever been a day one pope, asks Matthew Berry?
No.
Depending on how you count day one, I am counting this as day 0, but there have been day 1 as in first full day of voting popes.
But I think the minimum was 3 ballots before they elected.
Yeah. So as I saw somebody on X say, if we get a pope on the first ballot, that means things are much more corrupt than we think.
But DiNardo will also do some things that make you proud. For instance, 40 Days for Life. The only reason why it was able to work in Houston, Texas, is because he had to fight his own chancery. His chancery tried to block and prevent them. DiNardo made sure they got the chance. The reason why we got an FSSP parish in Houston was because of DiNardo. When his chancery tried to block and prevent it, he had to go and he had to sort of force the issue. The reason why that I was able to, along with the Guadalupe Radio Network, start a radio station in Houston, Texas, because DiNardo allowed us to do it, even though Sheila Jackson Lee and the great Reverend Jesse Jackson called us racist for trying to purchase that radio station from the black community, even though we gave full asking price when everybody else wanted to pay less. We were the only ones that said, we'll pay the full price. Everybody else was like, you should sell to us because we're black and we're not going to give you all the money. But we said, we'll give you all the money. And so his own chancery tried to call us racist and prevent us from coming. And DiNardo made sure that we got to go. So DiNardo sees himself as a bridge builder. That's, I think, the important thing. But he's a patristic scholar. And the one time I got a chance to sort of plant a seed in his heart, I was giving a talk at an event where he was sitting right in front of me. And I really played up the St. Athanasius from Alexandria story to be heroic and courageous at a time of grave scandal amongst the hierarchy. And he didn't talk to me ever since. So there's that. There's that. Jimmy Urban. The flip sarcasm can go overboard. Well, that's probably true. You've been talking to my wife again. She's been telling you stories. But I like sarcasm. Richard Drake. If it's Burke, they would need to call a tailor in. Probably. Patrick Hewitt. Where's the Pope's seagull? I think some have given him the name Larry. They should give him the name Lenny. Tomas. I wonder what the odds are of a Cardinal Burke. Pretty slim to none, would you say, Dr. Stein?
Yeah, next to 0.
Next to
I think
0.
anybody who's actually criticized Pope Francis is going to have a hard time. It's just an unwritten rule. You don't go after the Pope. It tends to harm your ability. Now I'll say that Cardinal Mueller will walk out or something.
Wow, could you imagine?
Well, I mean, he's not the most conservative of them, but it would be definitely a better alternative than most of the options. Father V on X posted a picture of the seagull on the chimney, poking its beak at the actual chimney cover as if like he was trying to check to see what was wrong.
I saw that, yeah. Like, is this thing on? Hello down there. Still nothing. Unbelievable. Bishop Strickland. He told me that if the wrong guy steps out, he may have to flee the country. Things could go still worse for him if the wrong guy walks out.
I love when people post things like, please no Zupi, no Tagle, no Parolin. I'm like, Hollerich it is.
Hollerich would be horrible. Do you think that if we get a decent guy, do you think he lifts the excommunication of Vigano?
I doubt it. If you get a really good one, you'd have to have one who'd have the courage to look at Vigano's claims and go look at the long history of how it was actually not considered a sin to question the validity of a pontiff if you had legitimate reasons for believing that. And Francis gave you more than enough legitimate reasons to make a case. And Francis is the key if you want to undo a lot of the errors of the post-Vatican II era, because he opens the doors for that, because he makes it so easy to do, but it still takes courage. And I don't know who's got the courage to do that.
Hey, Patrick Hewitt, welcome home, my friend. Glad you're hanging out with us today. for this first vote. We're still all waiting, but it says my first conclave as a Catholic. Joined the church 22nd of March. Patrick, what were you before? Welcome home. Glad you're here. Praise be to God. Despite all of the scandals and the shenanigans that Dr. Stein and I talk about all the time, it is still the church. Praise be to God. It is still the truth, and that's why we're Catholic. And that's why we are so passionate and fight for it, because it's worth fighting for. Let's not let the cockroaches think they own the place. Godwin, good morning. Is it usually this long? Well, the first vote, no. Like, this is surprising. We're not quite sure what it means that the vote, which was supposed to happen at 7, is taking this long.
Yeah, we're 2 hours past the time now, give or take.
Yeah. You were in the Eastern Orthodox Church, Romanian Patriarchate. Well, welcome home, my friend. Glad you're here. Praise be to God. You ate too much. There's that bird. That bird is like as after it as we are. Felipe de Trento. Habemus papam. What? We don't have no. No. Stop. No. Not yet. Not yet, anyway. What I want to know is, why is there clapping in the square? Like there's what's
maybe there's something doing music or something.
Like it's called someone's causing a reaction there. I want to know what that is. Colin says, I watch Dr. Stein and Joe's show all the time, but I've never watched this much of them in one day. I'm actually starting to like these guys. From your lips to God's ears, Colin.
Yeah, we're probably the two most normal guys who sit behind a microphone, honestly.
Probably. I'm out to have a smoke. Haha, says Johnny Boy. 6-7. Clapping is for the bird landing. Oh, maybe that's the case. Cigar mode. What is all the that's exactly what we're trying to figure out. Joe blogs. Strange events are always within the Byzantine closed doors of Rome. God knows. I'm not sure what that is. The birds are back. Dr. Obvious. Joe, in return, honor God with your humorous quips. God has a sense of humor. I certainly hope so.
As long as your humor is right ordered, you're not sitting there telling body part jokes and things, you're probably okay. Making light of pious things. I
don't know about your wife, but my wife does not like sarcasm. And it's like, it's my language of love. What are you talking about? It's like, it's the angelic voice is sarcasm.
Most of my humor is self-deprecating. It's designed to make light of to take down my own ego, actually.
Right. I'm seeing LifeSite News here say a Parolin deal has been rumored to be arranged by Vatican diplomats who seek to downplay his involvement in a London financial scandal to attract so-called conservative votes. It's interesting that the day before and the day of going into the conclave, all of a sudden, these reports are coming out. Documents are found all of a sudden. Like, where was all of this?
And reported on unquestioningly by all the Vatican, or by all the aligned media with the more progressive wing, the National Catholic Reporter, American Magazine, and their international equivalents.
Anthony, our good friend from Avoiding Babylon. Why aren't I in Rome? Because I'm going to go to Rome. I plan to go to Rome May 28th through the 30th, actually, with Bishop Strickland. So
I can't afford to go, and I got a wife and kids.
I have a wife and kids too, but by the grace of God.
Are your kids super young?
So my oldest child is married with 3 kids, and so I have grandkids. And my youngest child is 9 years old. So we have a spread. Most of my kids are teenagers, except for my youngest, who's 9.
So this is an interesting question. Am at Ram asks who counts the votes. There are 3 people who count the votes. I think the Camerlengo is one of them, which is not great. But they have 3 people who together count the votes to make sure that no one's doing anything shady with them.
Carl Thomas says CIA is probably busy burning documents and deleting electronic files. Anthony says, I'll be in Greece while you're in Rome. Really? That's super cool. I'll be in Greece first and Turkey, then we go to Rome. So we're going to cross paths. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see you over there. That'd be neat. Okay, Joe and Dr. Stein, why was Parolin being congratulated at Mass this morning? We talked about this earlier. We actually played the video earlier, too. We don't think he was being congratulated. We think he was being just, wished well. because it was the exchange of the sign of peace.
Yeah, we don't know if if the other rumored papabile candidates received a similar kind of greeting from other influential people at that mass.
Yeah, I can put it on right here. This is the video.
Yeah, different angle with who's that talking?
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying there, but we think it's just a well-wishing at the sign of peace is really all we think it is. Still nothing out of this chimney. It's killing everybody. Who knows? Let me play this real quick while let me see if I can get this. How will that look? Can I get this? Let me play this.
Hey everybody, Michael Matt, right here in the Piazza San Pietro. We are all excited. All of Rome is excited. Well, the whole world is excited for what's going on. You can kind of see Sistine Chapel. That's the little peak right in the middle. Right down from there is where the chimney is. We're all set and waiting. The cardinals are inside right now. There'll be a vote this afternoon. This is the largest conclave, by the way, in the history of conclaves. So there's a lot of cardinals here, which some people say means it's going to be the fix is in. You know, and it's kind of a rigged deal. From what I can tell, talking to a lot of people who've been in this town a lot longer than I have, that isn't necessarily so. In fact, it almost seems to be backfiring a little bit. There's so many cardinals here, most of whom have no idea. They don't know each other. So this is why, like Edward Penton and Diane Montagna, two veteran Vatican journalists, have put together their website, which we've been talking about, to try to help the cardinals learn something about each
Evelyn,
other. So,
Gary, stop.
the good news about that is I don't think anybody can claim a fix is in. I don't think anybody can say for sure what's going to happen. There are some front runners, or have been some front runners, but of course that's always, the rumors are always something that should be taken with a grain of salt. I think it's different. It's a little concerning that someone like Cardinal Tuccio Fernandez, Cardinal Brecht are not being named at all. No one's talking about them at all, and that seems sort of strange. However, I would say that talking to people again who have their ear to the ground here, there's a lot more optimism than I ever thought there would be. So this is exciting for me too. I know maybe some of you are surprised to hear that. I've been surprised to learn that over the last couple of days too from veterans here, that there is apparently, numerically, there's enough of a block to prevent the slam dunk Francis II, election. So please keep praying for that, because that's a very realistic possibility. I'm very excited about it. Speaking of which, prayer right now, everybody's praying here. Like I talked to a guy yesterday who said that when from the point of view of when Francis was elected for the past 12 years, he's grown closer to God. Just seeing the attacks against the church, seeing the turmoil, seeing how fragile the world is, the globalist system is, and how important God is. So there's a lot more emphasis. This is my third conclave here in Rome. A lot more emphasis on prayer, which is, I think, really, really exciting. In fact, we did a video just late last night. We were up all night editing a video right here that we shot right down here, calling for prayer. It's an open letter to the cardinals. I would encourage you to go view it at remnantnewspaper.com or at YouTube. Kind of join in with us in praying for this process in a renewed way, not with some hope. I don't want to give anybody false hope, but a little bit of hope that this might at least be a centrist and could even be tradition leaning. We don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow night or the night after. But please do watch that video and share it, because I think prayer right now is the best thing. There's not a lot of other things to do. We can go visit the Basilica if we want, but nothing's really happened. Different way than you looked at them before. They all went through COVID. They all saw the lockdown. They all saw the power of the children of darkness. They saw what's happening to the Catholic Church over the last few years. And all of the aggiornamento and wishful thinking and hermeneutic of continuity that some people were sort of projecting onto this process of Vatican II, I think it's disappearing. I think a lot of people are saying, you know what we need to do? We need to go back to being Catholic again. So if there are a lot of people on the ground who are saying that, why would it be so unlikely that there may be some cardinals, especially some of the younger ones, especially the ones that are from out on the peripheries, if you will, who have more or less kept the faith, more so than in Western Europe, the United States even. Why would it be so unusual to think that they too have felt that they too realize, man, we need the Catholic Church to get strong again, if for nothing else, to just protect us from another global lockdown at the hands of the globalists. And maybe the idea of another globalist pope just ain't so attractive anymore. That's really what we're hoping for and praying for here in Rome. So Follow me. By the way, sign up for my e-blast so I can let you know when we post. We're going to be watching that.
Oof. What do you think of that?
How does he know? Like, where is he getting this information from?
Yeah, well, they all have their contacts. They all have got their folks over there that they talk to, their Vaticanistas, their insiders. So it's your guess is as good as mine. What's the big issue? Eric Salmon says we're seeing in real time that the Catholic Church, along with being Christ's church, is also the world's greatest bureaucracy. Meetings overrun by hours. Anthony says, I don't know if they're going to vote today. If they don't, I'm more hopeful. I don't know, Anthony. Not sure about that. Maybe there's a medical emergency. Interesting. Change the channel for clarity. You mean like to that? It seems just as dark to me. Are you guys able to hear? Is the audio gone? Someone's saying the audio is gone. Is the audio gone? Audio is bad. Audio is in and out. I'm not sure why that would be. I don't know. Nothing's changing on my end.
Emily Zanotti on X says, look, this is almost an hour late. I want my pizza balla for free. I am already tired of all the pizza jokes, by the way.
All right. Some are saying they're hearing it. There was a glitch there for a second, but audio is good. I'm glad to hear the audio is good. Praise be to God. Both Joe and Anthony audio out. DJ, I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe that's a YouTube thing. I don't know. Producer Jake says just glitched over for a second back now. Well, that's good. I did see a glitch. I'm not sure what was causing that.
That's probably a shift change with our FBI handlers.
That's probably
I mean,
what
the agents who are supposed to watch us had a shift change.
But that's the other thing. Remember there was the report. When was this report? Was it last year sometime where we kind of discovered that the Vatican does watch people like you, for instance?
Oh yeah, they do. I imagine I'm pretty low on their priorities list compared to, like, in America, like Taylor Marshall and Raymond Arroyo, who's their #1 target.
I can't imagine you're low on the list. To be honest,
I'm low on the list.
I'm being serious about that. I can't imagine that. You got a pretty big following.
Not so much. Taylor Marshall's much bigger than I am.
So well, sure.
So is Raymond Arroyo.
Raymond is surprisingly, he's got a big following on things like Fox News. Maybe not so much anymore on EWTN as he used to have, but his social media following is not all that amazing. Not really. Not in comparison.
Jessica says we're not going to be able to see smoke at this rate. Yeah.
I don't know. Audio was lagged. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to put you on by yourself for 1 second. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Sure. It would be funny if it happened right now that we got smoke while he was gone, because that'd be sort of poetry to that. But unfortunately, yeah, you can barely, at this point, it's almost hard to look at the chimney just because of the way the sun is setting behind it. Warheld says they put a spotlight on the chimney at night. That's true. That is true. Dr. Obvious says he's watching on a Fire TV streaming YouTube and no sound is lost. How many of you watch YouTube on TV, by the way? I do. That's where if I'm not listening while I'm driving somewhere, then I'm watching it on my TV. Cardinal Togley is ill, maybe. I don't have lights on now. They need to put they probably will in the next 20 minutes. Oof. Yeah, I can barely look at that chimney because of just how the way the sun is coming up behind it. Joe will be back any moment. Will I be live tomorrow? Yes, the plan is to be live tomorrow. I'm not exactly... I have a few stories to talk about tomorrow, but if obviously we get a pope today, that will change everything. But yes, I will be live at my usual 4 a.m. time central, 4 a.m. central. If you aren't following me at Return to Tradition, you should fix that. There's not to, be super humble about it or anything. But yeah, it's big. I mean, this is the biggest news story you're going to see all year. Probably is this conclave. I can't imagine anything bigger happening this year than a new pope. Do the Cardinals eat or fast, Olimi? Oh, I'm sure they eat. I am sure they eat. Some of them might fast. Ferrum says, why are people clapping? It's because of the bird. Apparently, it's people are applauding the bird. Because, of course, they are.
All right, did I miss it? Did it pop? And then
No,
everybody's...
I thought it'd be funny if it happened.
It would have been hilarious if it happened.
You are not on camera, at least not on not on the broadcast. Oh, you are. It's just a
There
tape
you
delay.
go.
Never mind.
The delay.
Have I taken a nap? It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon where I'm at. No.
I usually do, though. I try to get naps in there. Naps are fantastic, by the way.
Do I think Bishop Strickland is given a diocese under a new pope? If we get a decent pope, my hope is that he would be given some kind of official posting somewhere.
Yeah.
But as I understand it, he's not widely loved among the U.S. bishops either.
No, he's not. But I could imagine that if you get a Schneider, you get a Sarah, potentially, yeah, he could be given a new assignment. And he's told me personally he would take a new assignment if given one. That could be very interesting.
Yeah.
By the
There are
way,
things that he could do.
I was telling earlier about how I spent the weekend in Tennessee at this private gathering with some power players, I suppose. I don't know how else to describe them, to be honest with you. Kwasniewski was there. The Catholic Unscripted crew was there. Janet Smith was there. A bunch of people were there.
The bird is back. Somebody asked if they're going to call a lid at some point. They vote once today.
Supposedly. I mean, have they voted? I think we're all asking the question. But one of the presentations that was given at this gathering in Tennessee was from the complicit clergy crew and teamed up with Michael Hitchborn, who was also there. They gave us a presentation on Catholic NGOs who have received federal U.S. tax dollars. From 2009 to 2024, guess how much money Catholic NGOs has received?
From what year to 2024?
2009 to 2024.
Oh, $6 billion, I think is the number I saw.
$217.3 billion with a B. From 2009 to 2024.
Now, think about how the NGOs have to give their home diocese a certain cut, and then the home diocese gives the Vatican a cut, and you begin to see why the Vatican has taken such a huge interest in the goings on in America. It's also why I don't think you'll either not get an American pope at all, or you will get one who's overtly hostile to Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think you get a Dolan.
I hope not. Please, Lord, let it not be. $217 billion of federal tax dollars have been given to Catholic NGOs who have helped to traffic children, for instance. I interviewed Tara Rodis, whistleblower of the Department of, I think it was Homeland Security, and she went on Capitol Hill to say thousands of children were trafficked across that border and given over to nefarious characters like MS-13. Catholic Charities helping to do that, and other organizations. They weren't the only ones. That's what they used. They took taxpayer dollars from you, from me, and from others, and they used it to funnel these children across that border. And the rise, and part of his, I actually posted his presentation to my private Telegram group for the show, A Catholic Take. But you got to be on my email list to get access to it, by the way. And he shows in the chart the massive uptick in undocumented children all of a sudden, out of nowhere. It went from here to here. Like, clearly that is orchestrated. Clearly. And the money funneling was massive. I would love to see whoever walks out on that balcony to absolutely crush Catholic NGOs that are in that business. Time for them to remove the name Catholic. American Life League posts a picture of Erdo. Quote, the Eucharist will overcome any solitude, distance, and indifference.
J.D. Flynn posted this on X just 5 minutes ago. The widespread expectation was that we'd have smoke already. The prevailing speculation in the square is that perhaps a medical emergency interrupted the requisite first ballot tonight, but who knows? Again, and
why wouldn't the Vatican put that out?
I'm glad he phrased it that way, because again, nobody knows what the trade winds are going, because those guys are not supposed to be speaking at all. So any rumor being about how things are going in Rome, there's an automatic excommunication attached to leaking information from the conclave. So again, take any reporting on who's front runner and who's not once the voting starts with a gigantic grain of salt.
So if that's the case, why wouldn't the Vatican put out a statement saying, "Hey, we're dealing with a medical emergency, just so you know"? Like, why wouldn't they do that? Or are they just forbidden from telling the world like what's going on?
They've not been the. So their dicasteries don't even have a prefect right now. And there's only one dicastery whose prefect is active during an interregnum, and it's definitely not any of the high profile ones. Sorry that I'm slouched over. I'm just watching about 15 different things going on right now.
Right. I'm like trying to keep my eye on like several different things just to see what people are saying here. And then I see the quality of this is gone, so I need to boost that, get a little higher quality.
Someone asked if Parolin collapsed. I wouldn't take any of those reports very seriously, given who they were initially reported by, other than Diane Montagna. She's valid, but the other places are reporting it, not so much. Tylenol Samurai says there was the sound of emergency services in the last 30 minutes or so. I can't move my mic closer. It's as close as it can get for people who are complaining. And my microphone settings are set for this distance.
Let me see if I can.
It's not my microphone. It's something else.
I'm boosting you a little bit more on my end, just see if that helps any. I thought you sound fine, though. Anthony's asking, what happens if there is no smoke? Well, I guess we all go to bed.
Yeah.
Rich Reho, as we wait and wait, sometime plausible scenarios. This conclave is the largest in church history with 133 electors, so counting votes will take longer. Can't take that long. Conclave that elected Francis had 115 electors. Also, it is totally possible that the cardinals chose not to do a round of voting this evening. Okay, fine, but then tell us that, right?
All right, so Father V said one of the commentators mentioned that the latest smoke signal from any recent conclave occurred at 2:05 p.m. That's 8:05 p.m. Rome time.
Well, it's 8:50 now.
Yeah, so we are well past that at this point.
Tim H. says the Cardinals must have heard the show yesterday and elected Bishop Strickland as Pope. They're waiting for him to arrive in Rome. That's why it's taken so long. I hope not. I'm supposed to go to Greece with him in less than a week now.
Well, that means you get to go to Greece with the Holy Father.
You think he'll come? Like, that'd be pretty amazing. Like,
probably not.
Probably not. That'd be
My hope is that
awesome.
if we get a good Pope next, that he'll end the practice of papal globetrotting.
Yeah, exactly.
Pizza Balla is one. Somebody says Pizza Balla is better served in Jerusalem. He still has time. I agree. Actually, I think traditionally the church has always had one of its strongest prelates in Jerusalem, and I think it'd be good to keep that tradition going, especially in these times.
Is it just me, or is X really running slow right now? Seems like it's
they've been people attacking X. It could be that they're doing another DDS attack. I don't know. Now Anthony on X is asking if they can decide to not cast ballots today. They might. It wouldn't surprise me. So Edward Habsburg on X says, relax, folks. Many cardinals, long procedures. They began late. First time round, it'll take time. Tomorrow they will be faster.
So calm down, you. It'll be okay. I met him when I was in Rome, by the way.
He follows me on X. I don't know why, but he does.
He's a very interesting guy, very easy to talk to. I went to Mass when I was there with the FSSP, and that's where he and his family go to Mass. So I had already interviewed him on the show once by that time, so I stopped to say hello, and he was very polite, and we hung out a little bit, maybe 10, 15 minutes outside, and just chatted it up, and very interesting guy, to say the least.
What's wrong with the Pope traveling? They didn't used to do that. There's no reason for a Pope to travel around the world all the time.
Yeah.
Papal trips started with Paul VI, I think, and he didn't take that many. He only took a few, but it was still like a novelty when he did it.
And then JP1 said, "Oh yeah, watch this. Hold my beer." And
Yeah.
then it was all over from there.
There's too many things that need fixing in the church in Rome to necessitate a lot of international travel. And I would absolutely love to see a pope stop giving addresses at the UN, unless it's repent and believe in the gospel.
Exactly. You know, that's another thing too. I've often said, like, the Pope meeting a transvestite, the Pope meeting whatever. Like, I don't have a problem with the Pope meeting these people. I have a problem with the Pope meeting these people and pretending like their lifestyle isn't inappropriate, wrong, their decisions aren't harmful to their own soul, let alone other souls.
Lepanto Institute, Michael Hitchborn is in the chat. I've been summoned to Rome. We'll send smoke signal once I arrive.
Well, can you get on with it? Because we're all waiting, okay? We're all just waiting. Ooh. Cardinal Claudio Ugoretti, prefect of the dicastery for the Eastern Churches, 69 years old. Pretty young guy. What have you heard about him?
Not much. Oh, some anti-trad on X is like posting about the lightning strike at Rome last night, saying, "Oh no, the trads are reading omens like pagan sibyls." I'm sorry, but lightning's played a pretty big theme in the last decade, and it's never been good.
Well, wouldn't it be amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be amazing to know that the Lord is paying attention, right? Wouldn't you be more reassured that the Lord is paying attention to the wolves in sheep's clothing, the snakes in the grass, and that in the end, justice will be had? I think I would be. Becky Hansen says, like the Vatican is good about communication, so this doesn't surprise me. The Vatican will make announcement tomorrow sometime. Sure. Love the new studio, says Eddie.
Thanks. Still a work in progress.
You need
more work to do on it.
You need like 4 or 5 cameras. That's the trick.
Yeah, I don't have like Brett Cooper's budget. If you ever watch one of her videos where like it cuts every 3 seconds to some other angle.
I don't know, man. I love cutting to a new video, to a new angle every 4 or 5 seconds. It's great. If they elected someone, says Christopher, would they wait until he's dressed to issue the smoke? Wouldn't they still ring the bells and issue the smoke to tell us there is one, and then have him dress after that? You know, that's a good question.
As I understand it, they announce they do the bell ringing and the smoke, and then they tell you who won the conclave. And then they introduce, and then he gets dressed, and they introduce you.
Do they? They don't tell
Cardinal to the world as Pope, whatever the name is.
They don't tell you who won the conclave. He has to step out, and they say Habemus Papam, and then you know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I remember them giving it away beforehand. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Janice, when did you guys go live? I don't know, like 4 hours ago. It feels like. I don't even know.
I thought we'd be on for a short time. Like
right. In fact,
I had lunch ready to eat after this, and now it's all cold and has to be tossed out.
Yeah, me too. I've got food waiting, and I still have to go back on the radio here at what time? I guess 4 o'clock my time. So, I mean, if this thing ain't over, I'm gonna have to say goodbye no matter what I do.
Yeah.
It ought to be interesting. I would love to know what this means. We've been on for now. I don't know. Is there a time? Is there a clock? I don't even know if there's a clock on this. I can't tell.
I'm seeing people like another Catholic YouTuber. I'm not really familiar with him. Christian Wagner saying, "I'm wasting so much time looking at a freaking chimney and a bird."
I know it. Habemus Papam, says Frank. Habemus two papas? What? Stop. No. We're not going to do that. It's not the 2 popes. It's going to happen when I'm asleep, says Mateus. Probably. Anthony, if there is no smoke tonight, that means we get 6 more weeks off of winter. Yes. I like that idea. Father Joel Hastings says, the senior cardinal deacon announces Habemus Papam before we know who, And this announcement is several minutes after the white smoke. I thought it was that way. In fact, when do the bells ring? Do the bells ring with the smoke, or do the bells ring with the Habemus Papam? That's the next question in my mind. Victor Gonzalez, do they get a bathroom break, or is there a bunch of old men ready to burn? I know. Could you imagine these guys with their bladders? Oh. Like, is there, I don't even, I've only been to the Sistine Chapel once in my entire life, and I don't remember if there's a bathroom anywhere near the place.
Is this the new blood sport? Do you mean like the old YouTube shouting matches that YouTube finally destroyed 5 or 6 years ago, where you'd have a host who'd bring on 2 absolutely inflammatory guests, and he would just rake in mountains of money with super chats by having these people like say awful things to each other for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
You have been on for 2.5 hours. Your wife's keeping track. Please forgive my ignorance, John Goff says, as I'm not Catholic, but like the U.S. government, is there a designated survivor in the event of a larger scale event? Okay, are you saying that if they were to strike the Vatican right now and wipe out the College of Cardinals, is there a designated survivor? Well, no, not like the U.S. government. However, there is still, I guess the Camerlengo would be dead because he's inside there. But there are cardinals who are not inside there, and they could elect a new pope, I suppose, even though they are past the voting age, according to the document that regulates the law for the conclave.
Canon law is not meant to be a shackle that can be exploited to destroy the church.
Right, exactly. Which is why the fact that there's a limitation to 120 cardinal electors is, often waived. It was waived under JP2, and it is waived by default because Francis made more than 120. But if you're going to make more than 120, why not change the document? That's the question in my mind. Like, why keep it that way only to make more? If your intention is to make more, then alter the document to say popes can make however many they want. They just can't be 80. Like, I don't get why they do one and not the other. It doesn't make sense to me. The bird has a microphone. Everybody low-key thinks the bird has a microphone. It's Bug, the bird. Alan, all Americans are complicit of the genocide in Palestine. Is that because we gave bombs to Israel? Teresa Garcia, maybe they'll add maybe they all nodded off, kind of like Joe used to do. They are all pretty old. Wow. Teresa, aren't you amazing? You're going to come right back. Uh-oh. I'm hearing an uptick in the audience level on the video there. I don't know what they're laughing about. I don't know what they're cheering about. I don't know what they're getting all hyped up about. Lepanto, Hitchborn, why didn't you just join us? You should have joined us. There aren't even any heat waves coming from the chimney pipe. What? Oh, black smoke! Black smoke, and Stein is not here. Stein is not here to see it.
There it is. I'm the one who joked earlier about this happening when you were off camera.
That's true. Black smoke.
And I'm watching the Vatican Media English one, and there's no smoke on that one. So I'm refreshing, and there's the black smoke. It lagged out on me.
Jacob, you're amazing. God love you, my friend. Thank you. That's funny. We waited all this time for black smoke. Wow.
That was the one. I was the one blocking the chimney. I really need to get back on my diet.
Look at that. Wow. Definitely getting another Jesuit. Is that what you think, Loki? I don't know about that. Jacob.
Somebody asked in the do the Cardinals know the complete voting results? Anybody in the room would know.
Yeah.
They don't leave the room until I think they leave the room except maybe use the restroom.
So nobody got elected. We knew that was going to happen, but man, did it take forever to happen. The long period before the smoke, to me, is a very good sign, says Lepanto. Hitchborn, I had Hitchborn on the team today on the show. Tomorrow, Rob Morrow Jr. is on. We're going to be talking to him about his CIA background and perspective on conclaves. Very interesting. Very interesting. Matthew Barry, is the ballot anonymous? To us, it is. And I suppose to the Cardinals, the Cardinals don't know who voted for who. They just know how many people voted for who.
Mm-hmm.
Will it happen tomorrow? Joe G seems to think it will happen tomorrow. I'm on the board for May 9th.
I think if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it'll happen Friday. I at first thought the idea that it would take a long time, but I don't think so much anymore.
So, what is your plan for the morning then, Dr. Stein?
I'm going to do a normal live stream, but I'm going to have this feed going, probably on screen the entire time.
What time are you going to go live?
Usual time, 4 a.m. Central.
4 a.m. Central, 5 Eastern, on the Return to Tradition YouTube channel. Make sure to check that out, because he'll be leading the way tomorrow morning with the news. My show starts at 6 a.m. Eastern, no, 6 a.m. Central, 7 Eastern for my Catholic Take radio show.
I just need to go, do a little more research on what I'm going to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because most of the newsmakers were, hiding out in that conclave.
Black smoke took forever. Well, I don't know. I think we should leave it there, my friend. What do you think?
I think so too.
All right. Well, God bless you all. We had a hoot and a holler. Make sure to smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you've never done so before. Check out the links below. Got tons of video. Just had Bishop Strickland on. A AKC783, thank you. Wondering if we could get White Smoke on May 13th. I think that's Hitchborn. He wants it to go to May 13th. If we did, there's no way you cannot link that to Fatima. I mean,
yes, and I immediately tell people, don't assume because it goes to May 13th that you get a good pope out of that.
Right.
The other side of that coin is very much a possibility.
Yeah, Karen, you are amazing. God love you. All right, guys, I'm signing off for now. Thanks for making this a lot of fun, hanging out for a couple of hours while we watch for smoke. And we finally got it. Praise Jesus in all things. God love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to check out Anthony Stein's live feed, 4 a.m. Central, 5 Eastern, mine at 6. We'll see you there. God bless you. God love you. And here's to praying for a great pope to step out on the loggia.